All right. Hello and welcome back to the Game Bet Match podcast. I'm your host, Manny Friedman, along with my co-host.
Brad Sloan.
All right. Back in the house. First Masters 1000 of the year is coming up. But before further ado, we're going to recap last week. It was an exciting week in Dubai, Santiago, and Acapulco. So we're going to recap all that. First part is going to be the recap, and then the second part is going to be the preview of next week. Anything you want to add to the intro?
No, man. I mean, as always, a shout out to all the Twitter followers and all the people who watch this. I think we have the obligatory shout out to be in the cast. Otherwise, I'm really sad that Golden Swing's over, man. Like those tournaments were so fun. Like
they were fun.
I don't know. It's I don't think any other part of the season's like that.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was really like the first time I really followed it deep, I guess, like that closely, and I have to say it was amazing.
Amazing. Like that. I mean, it might be. We'll see. I mean, I followed the rest of the season, relatively tightly before. Like, maybe not every 250 and 500, but like those were fun, man. Like almost every single one of those tournaments was fun. Honestly, so far the first quarter of the season's been a lot of fun. The French indoor tournaments are a lot of fun. Like. I don't know. We'll see. I'll be. I don't know. I don't remember the other tournaments being just like they might be more meaningful tennis wise, but like I don't know if they've been like as much like just pure fun. So.
No, it was a good month of February. I mean, I feel like the betting kind of was bad in the beginning of February, and then it got a little better for me personally. Like
I'd say for me. I mean, I was really down after the Aussie, but I've done okay this month. Yeah, it's been a decent month. I mean, obviously that one day was like amazing, right? And then otherwise it's been like pretty kind of flat, but that one day was ridiculous. That one where we both made like 30 units each was kind of awesome.
That's crazy. I mean, that's the crazy thing about this betting. Like one great day can turn your season around. It's insane.
Yeah, it is.
Single bets are a grind, but if you hit a parlay, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're going to start with our Bulldog and our Boosta of the week. So without further ado, we are going to go with the, let's see here.
Are we starting with the Boosta?
Boosta of the week, Roberto Carballes Baena.
But Manny, I think you're showing some Portugal vacation there. I'm very interested to see your your email there.
Oh, you don't see the
No.
Huh. And you see it now?
No.
Oh,
Not sure what's going on there. I think maybe he's sharing the wrong screen.
All right. I'm sorry about that. Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys.
Usually it's my internet that goes out, so usually that's the problem.
There we go.
So yeah, that is our Boost of the Week award winner. So just to go over what the Boost Award represents. Booster Award represents a player who has good fight, good battling spirit, as you see in the picture there, but has a tendency to lose the path a little bit, especially in key moments in matches. So I think Baena won this by having a pretty ugly choke in the second round this week.
Well, we want to put a little disclaimer out there. Like, we love Pablo Carreno Busta. Like, we appreciate him as a player. He's a good guy. We're not saying anything bad about him, but his tendency for choking is quite high.
And it has cost us a lot of money. It's more about how I think this is more about a player who has cost us both in betting, as much as it is a player who's been terrible as a player or something. Like Boost has had his share of tight losses, when he's gotten tight in key moments, and I know that's definitely cost me many times betting him. So this is probably as much my frustration. It's me taking my frustration out in having bet him and lost many a time. I know, Manny, both you and I had Baena as an underdog over Hanfman. Absolutely. And Baena had the first set really under control. I'm pretty sure he served for it.
It was
terrible. Had multiple set points. And
yeah. And he blew it.
Honestly, in terms of boosters of the week, it was very, very kind of a very weak week for boosters. I mean, This wasn't like full on boosted. This was like, it was only the first set, but I really couldn't find anybody who I lost money on that like was this like crazy terrible beat. Like it was most of the bets I lost were just bad bets by me.
Right. I mean, the level of this choke job in the first set was so high that it's just we had to put him in there. And like I think he was like my last leg in one of my parlays, so like it was so bad. I mean, like I think he had 5-2 or 5-3 he served for it, and then he had like 6-3 in the tiebreaker as well. I mean, it was an ugly choke job. And I mean, credit to Hanfman. I mean, he played pretty well, but it was not good. It was not good.
Yeah. I mean, Carbonated Banana as a player is probably somebody there's not a whole lot to comment on. Like he's a very, very average-ish clay, right? He's like kind of the definition of like average-ish clay grinder, right? Like guy who, he'll probably get into a lot of tournaments, isn't really likely to make a whole lot of noise. At least at the ATP level.
Right. Yeah. And then, just if people on YouTube or Twitter want to comment, I want to know if you remember where the match from this Pablo Carreno Busta picture was from, and what was the situation that caused this meltdown.
So one of the more epic tennis meltdowns we've ever seen.
We would appreciate it. So I think that's a good trivia question. It was a very particular match, and it's unlike Carreno Busta to act this way. But I want to see if people know where this actually came from. So, all right. As far as our Bulldog of the Week, this was
So the Bulldog of the Week represents somebody whose mental fortitude is just takes them to brings their game to another level and brings them great success, and also brings myself and Manny great success in betting. Right, so it has to be both.
Absolutely.
So our BD Bulldog of the Week this week is Alex de Minaur. You see the picture there?
100%.
I mean, this guy's competitive spirit is just incredible. I actually had him on a futures bet, so it was kind of amazing. I had him on a 10-1 to win the tournament. I didn't think Alcaraz was going to play or Norrie was going to play. So after that, it was kind of there wasn't a whole lot left. And then his draw was just amazing. I mean, he played Mexican, I think 17-year-old Mexican in the first round. Pretty tough player, one of the better juniors in the world, but like not at ATP level, and you can actually see the difference in ball quality. He played Berrettini in the second round, but not the right Berrettini, who's tough. He played the other Berrettini, who really probably shouldn't even be. I mean, that other Berrettini somehow qualified, but I'm not even really sure like why that was in the draw. Right. The qualifying draw to begin with. It felt, I think he was a wild card in the draw. And I'm pretty sure it was to get Berrettini to play that let his little brother a chance, which is. I don't know. It feels a little bit like I think it feels a little bit too much like a league of their own to me. So yeah, I wasn't really a huge fan of that particular qualifying wild card being given out. But I mean, again, that's a simple draw from. And then of course he played Taro Daniel, which like for the quarters of a 500, that's a pretty great matchup for de Minaur. So he basically got to the semis.
Besides this tournament, he's actually been pretty bad. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's been pretty de Minaur. Like, I mean, look, he's like a top 20 to top 30 guy, right? So like,
I'm talking about Taro Daniel. Like he's been horrible. Like, so for him to get to the quarters, plus he was gassed after that 3-setter versus Rude.
Yeah, and I think that 3-setter versus Rude said more about where Rude is, and Rude's than Taro Daniel.
True. Right. I mean, Taro Daniel lost a set to Nicholas Hart from the Dominican Republic in Indian Wells qualifying.
Hey, I won that. I had a bet on that today, and I won. Do not talk bad about Nicholas Hart.
Very nice.
Hart made me some money.
+1.5.
I bet him +5.5.
Wow.
he lost by 5 games.
Well, that shows how bad Taro Daniel is, right? So that just kind of proves how easy de Minaur's draw was, right? But it got tough at the end, like he had to earn those last 2 wins, So
and so then that brings us to the semis and the finals where like I mean, de Minaur, that semi was incredible with Rune. I mean, the barrage he took in the first set and a half. I mean, like, the reason Rune cramped is because he was going all out, full intensity every time. And de Minaur's fight to stay in the, to proverbially stay in the ring and stay in the match. Just to get to 3-6-5 all, I thought was amazing. I mean, it felt like every time he had to hold, it was, really difficult holds. And he wasn't getting a whole lot of looks on Rune's serve, especially in the first set. But he kept holding. He just kept keeping his nose at it, keeping his nose at it.
Amazing.
True Bulldog mentality. True BD Bulldog mentality.
Absolutely.
And came up with the second set. And then Rune, that's all Rune had in the tank. The third set, Rune cramped up, and that was
all she wrote. Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, good on Rune, honestly, for fighting through the cramps. Like, I thought that was pretty amazing that he fought through the cramps and got 2 games. I mean, it looked for a while like he was going to retire. So I was happy about that. And I was actually, in terms of betting, I bet him de Minaur to cover in the first round, the second round, the quarters, the semis. I had Rune over 12.5, and I live bet de Minaur, I think, twice.
And we had to sweat that one out, but he hit it, right? Because he got the 2 games.
Yeah, because he got Rune. Right? So de Minaur was also nice enough to let him have the 2 games in the third set to get us our bet. So there's also the kind of,
Are Bulldogs really that
and
nice?
The kindness of a Bulldog.
Are they really that nice? Bulldogs?
Yeah, man. You ever had a friendly Bulldog?
I haven't had dogs.
I don't know. I've never had a dog.
I'm not really a dog guy, but okay, all right. I guess
he's a well-trained dog. He's a well-trained. He's trained to let guys hit the over 12.5 against him. And then the finals, I actually money-lined him too over Paul.
Me too.
Because I thought Paul would be gassed by the third set, which honestly is what happened. And that's not surprising given that epic semi, that basically match of the year candidate between Paul and Tommy Fritz. Or Tommy Paul and Taylor Fritz. That was, like, not counting slams, that's a match of the year candidate in my mind. Like, for ATP match of the year, that's
not in terms of quality of play, but in terms of drama.
In terms of drama and in terms of intensity and courage.
Yeah.
Out of both players. Incredible. I agree. Quality was a little bit missing pretty much throughout the match. Like, there's definitely been higher quality matches.
The semifinals of this tournament was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you were over to watch. We watched them together, and you get like almost nearly 2 4-hour matches. Like,
that might. I mean, you won't get 2 better semis than that in a tournament that's not a slam. You get a slam, the best of 5 element maybe, but like. In a regular ATP tournament, you won't get 2 semis of that really drama. Again, the quality was a little lacking in the Paul Fritz match. And honestly, like, Paul, I mean, the crazy about that Paul Fritz match is, like, Paul had an overhead. And granted, it was a deep, tough overhead, but he had a baseline overhead from inside the baseline on match point at 6-3-5-4. Like, that should have been 3 and 4.
Should have been.
Then Paul amazingly took the meandering path. And I think it was like an hour 45 minutes until he finally closed it out. It was insane.
Insane. Yeah. And then both guys ended up cramping at the end, which is crazy. But yeah. And I credit to Tommy Paul because he actually played a pretty decent final. Like, he came out, actually won the first set. I mean, he did run
I thought first 2 sets he was good. He was really good. de Minaur really hunkered down in the second set and earned that second set. And then the third, I thought Paul was just gassed. Like, de Minaur makes you, like, and it was also like, that was the worst matchup for Paul to have in that situation. Because Paul's not a big enough hitter to hit through de Minaur, like, easily.
Right.
And so Paul was going to have to work to win that match.
Yeah.
And he had a limited gas tank.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to play de Minaur if you're gas because he's just going to D up, So.
Right. But, like, if you're like Holger Rune, like, you might be able to hit through that gas. It might not matter. I mean, you might be able to hit through it, but if you're Tommy Paul, like, your game is a pretty standard game and you're not going to hit through it.
Right.
And his serve isn't that big, so he wasn't going to get a whole lot of easy first serve points. Like,
yeah, but I mean, de Minaur in like those hot, kind of humid conditions in Acapulco, like, he won that tournament because of his fitness.
I wonder how much it was the draw, right? The fact that he was able to conserve.
But, like, in terms of the semis and final,
I'm saying the semis and finals, but I wonder if there's an element, and I don't think so. But I wonder if there is an element of conserving energy in the early rounds because he was barely on the court the first 3 rounds.
I don't think de Minaur really thinks about that, to be honest. Like,
well, not in terms of thinking about, just in terms of like just physically getting tired, right? And I don't know if I've ever seen de Minaur wear out, but like, if my point is, like, if other guys had like 3 easy matches, they might have more energy for the semis and finals.
That's true. I honestly think like de Minaur, I trust de Minaur's fitness enough and his fight that like even if he had physical first round match or like the first 3 matches were like kind of physical, like where he played ATP level players, like I still think he would be fine. Like,
I would think so too. But I think it may have been a factor.
Yeah.
Like he got a really good draw. I mean, I guess that's kind of the
well, I mean that gives putting a 10-1 futures a lot of value, like
yeah. I mean, that was the entire reason for it. It wasn't that I particularly like de Minaur isn't a guy I particularly believe in to win tournaments. Because he is kind of like a top 20, top 30 guy, and that's kind of what he is. He's, I mean, look, he's great compete level, but just like really lacks offense. And
he does.
Has a really hard time. Like when he has to play offense, it's hard for him.
It is.
Like he misses a lot of offensive balls. He's just not used to hitting them.
So, like, did you in that semifinal against Holger Rune? Did you not like Holger Rune's tactics in that match? Like, do you think he should have kind of like?
No, because I don't think there's any other tactics that Holger Rune can execute at this point in his career. Right, like is Holger Rune going to be that consistent and like going to win a consistency matchup in a tactical battle? I don't think so. Like he's a shot maker. That's where he is right now. I mean, that's kind of what he's got to work on, right? Is that maturity, the ability to grind points, the ability to not, he goes after every ball. Like that's Holger Rune. He goes for like, and he doesn't clown around.
I was seeing a little bit more discipline and more kind of tactics in that Paris run, where he beat like 5 top 10 guys. And like,
yeah, I mean, was it that, or was like, I guess that? But I guess then when it comes into it, right, was it that, or was it that his shots were working? Like, tactics is a funny thing where it's very easy to become biased. I feel like, and like, if a guy's making shots in the court, we tend to be very results based with it. So if a guy makes a shot, we tend to call it a great shot, and if a guy misses, we tend to call it over aggressive or a dumb shot, and that might not always be the case.
Well, I feel like it's a big issue with a lot of guys, even in the in the top 10. Like a lot of guys just don't have plan B. Like I see it with FAA too. Like, he likes playing that kind of aggressive game, and his serve is not working.
We watched FAA play Sinner last year at Cincinnati. He went to a plan B then, so I think he's got the ability to do it.
Not implementing it this year.
Yeah. Although, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm not as like, I know you're a little more upset about FAA than I am. Like, in my mind, he's had a lot of matches that have been a lot closer than I'd like to see.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like he's been like, I don't know, like his losses haven't been that bad, right? Like if you look, who's he lost to this year?
He lost to Medvedev twice. He lost to Lechka at the Australian. He lost to Santiago in Dubai. He lost to Popperin in Adelaide.
So yeah, so like okay, so Pop. I mean, if you look at those, right, like Poppy in Adelaide, like I'm okay with that loss. Like that's a tough guy to play in Australia. If you look at Lech, like I think Lechka's proven himself to be a top 30 player now, top 20 players. Like that's not a good loss, but it's not like a terrible loss. Like you could do a lot worse. Then you've got Medvedev twice, which is what it is, and you've got Santiago. Like I'm not sure, and Santiago's not that bad. Like that's probably the worst loss of the bunch. Like that's not great to lose to Santiago, but like I don't know. I don't feel like it's been that bad. It just looked really bad because like he's been dropping sets all over the place. But he seems to be pulling through more often than not when he's not playing top guys. I will say he doesn't have that big win yet this year, right? His best win this year is probably I don't know, Cerundolo maybe in Australia.
I
Like
don't.
it's
It's like for me, it's not necessarily the losses. It's more like watching him. I don't see him changing tactics. I don't see him doing things to kind of improve his chances versus guys that he struggles with, or like if he's not playing well, it's kind of like he's gonna lose kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's a hard guy. Like when we watched him in Cincinnati, we definitely thought saw tactical changes there during that match with Sinner that turned that match around. But I
But
feel like they were
that
very
almost seems like an
subtle.
anomaly, like. And then he was playing so well towards the end of the year, so he didn't really need to do that, right? But that was like one of very few matches where I've seen that like change in tactics. Plus, doing it against Sinner is easier because Sinner doesn't have kind of a game where he can like really change tactics or kind of give curveballs, right? He's going to do the same thing all the time, right? Whereas if you're playing a Medvedev, for example, Medvedev is such a chess player, you got to kind of match that, right?
Yeah,
If you're going to beat
yeah.
him. I don't see that from him, like I don't know. To me, he's taken a step back. Like I was really high on him in the beginning of the year. I thought he was ready to take that next step, and I don't see it yet. I don't see it yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't necessarily disagree. Like, it hasn't been a great start for FAA, right? And it's certainly like, yeah, I don't know. But it doesn't. It's
But
like
he's
it feels like he's still playing like he's ranked not he's still ranked number 9. It feels like he's still playing in that top 10 to top 20 range.
it's I don't know. He's
I
not.
mean, name 20 guys who are playing better right now, or name 10 guys who are playing better right now.
I probably couldn't, but I don't know. I don't like what I see. Like he's a guy in terms of betting. I'm gonna bet a lot of overs, on him.
I think that's how I feel too. I feel like in terms of betting, I feel like I would be more likely to play overs and like spreads against him, but
I would
I think
never
our
lay
overs.
games. Never
What?
lay games when he's a favorite.
Yeah, he seems like a
I
hard
don't
guy to
think
lay
so.
games on. He's a favorite. I agree with
Very
that.
hard to lay games on. Yeah, but I don't know. Well, I mean, we'll see. Indian Wells. I think these two tournaments are quite big for him. I don't think he has too many points to defend. Right? He didn't do too well here last year.
Indian Wells last year. Lost in the first round or for a second round. He had a bye, lost to VDZ in the second round. Miami lost it in the second round. So he's got basically nothing to defend because
Nothing to defend. So
got absolutely nothing.
like he needs to make some headway here. Like he needs to do well. Like these are two big tournaments for him. I don't know. All right. I mean, I was extremely high on him at the beginning of the year. So
I was too. I mean, I was. He certainly. I don't think, but I think it's just like it's a reset of expectations. I think the first 2 months has told us a lot about where some guys are and where some guys aren't. So I guess in the end, I agree with you. I think we have to temper what we're saying and maybe quantify it, right? And so like in my mind, I'm thinking of him as somebody who's like a borderline top 10, top 15 guy, probably where he's ranked. I don't think like the sky is falling out. You know what I mean? It's not like it's so I mean that's kind of my thought there.
In terms of betting him this week, like how did you do? Did you bet many of his matches?
No, because it wasn't much. I mean, he didn't have that many matches this week, right? He only
Right.
had 2. It was Cressy, which I just didn't like. I don't know. I didn't like betting that matchup, and then it was Sonego, and I don't think I bet that either. So I was completely off of him this week. I didn't bet too much on Dubai. With the exception of hitting like I hit Medvedev in a bunch of matches, but other than that, I wasn't really as on Dubai.
Yeah, I won the Cressy plus 1.5 sets versus Felix, and then I had the Cressy money line as well because of how he starts tournaments typically. That was plus 240. I didn't win that, but like I don't regret that bet one bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have loved Cressy as much. I don't remember what the wind was that day, but I feel like with Cressy, if it's windy, that's really not good though, given his game.
Yeah, but it's a pretty fast hard court. I don't think it was that windy. I don't think there were that many.
I honestly don't remember. I'm not saying it was or
Right.
it wasn't. That's just a place where you tend to get a little bit of a breeze.
Yeah. Well,
Otherwise on
that's enough.
Dubai, I mean, like, how do you feel about Zverev? That I thought that was a story of Dubai.
Yeah, that was a big story. So I mean, he's not a guy we can just blindly fade anymore, right? Like that
100%. Yeah, I mean, I
clear.
think we realized that as soon as I mean, he had started to show the signs. Like the cool thing with Zverev is like the signs of the comeback were starting to come, right? Like we were still fading, like we were fading him hard in the beginning, and rightfully so. I mean, he lost to
Rightfully
Mo
so.
at the Australian Open.
Right.
But like the this kind of you could see over the past month things coming back. I don't think they're fully back yet, but I think they're starting to get there. Like, where do you see him as now from a betting perspective?
He's kind of a guy you have to take match by match, I think. Like, I think we were a little bit like too high on him after he beat who did he beat in the
Leheka?
Lechka, but then he also had a good win against who else did he beat this week? He had a couple good wins. So he beat O'Connell, right? And then he beat Sonego. You know, I think like those are good wins, especially O'Connell was playing pretty well in Doha. Like he made the quarters there and played that really great match against Medvedev. And then like Sonego is a dangerous, player. Like he has weapons and stuff. So
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I don't think that either of those guys like convinced me. Like,
but
I think the Lechka win, because what kind of got me moving towards him was ironically like two of his recent losses to Griekspoor and Murray, where he was really competitive.
yeah.
Made me realize like that he was making it closer to back such that you couldn't bet against him anymore blindly. Probably up until like I think up until then I was pretty much fading him every single match.
I still faded him against Lechka. And I actually faded
I did too, but I didn't think
O'Connell
that was that terrible. Like it was a minus 110, and that was a pretty close match. And I didn't feel horrible even given how that turned out. Like, like if I had to put Lechka somewhere, I'd put Lechka probably in the top 30 now, and I'd probably put Zverev slightly ahead of him right now. Like I'd probably put Zverev if I had to do like my unofficial live how I think the players are right now rankings. I think Zverev would be somewhere in like the bottom of the teens. Like I think his ATP rank is pretty well.
Lechka, to be honest, that was a really close match. He's probably right near Lechka in terms of right.
Like, I think bottom of the teens. Like I think bottom of the. I think ironically his ATP ranking, even though he's had 6 months that he didn't play, is I think pretty close to where he's actually at now.
Yeah.
In terms of like skill level.
I think we were a little bit in a way like too high on him. The fact that he made a pretty good run, like because we both bet him against Rublev in the semis, right?
Yeah.
Is that more
based? Because Zverev owned the head-to-head there. Like there was a lot of reasons he'd been playing. I mean, Rublev hadn't been playing well. Like I don't think we necessarily overextended ourselves there. Like I looking at the data going into that match, kind of all the data pointed to Zverev. And the conditions were probably a little more pure, a little more pro Zverev. So I don't feel like that was a terrible bet. I mean, Rublev had to save match points in the first like 2 or 3 rounds, didn't he?
That's true, but
like he struggled against VDZ. He had to save match points against I think Fokina.
Yeah,
I don't know. I wasn't like. I
wasn't that impressed by Rublev either. But Rublev is definitely a different level than O'Connell and Sonego.
No, I mean I don't think anybody's saying he's not, but I mean I didn't think Rublev was that far ahead of Leheka.
I agree with that. I'm not the biggest Rublev fan by any means. Like you know that, right? Like,
yeah, I mean my point is I don't feel bad. I mean. I don't even remember what I bet there on Zverev. I think I might have taken Zverev money line. I don't even remember.
I took him minus 1.5. But yeah, I was looking at the 5-0 head-to-head, and I was kind of, almost prisoner of the moment by like the O'Connell and Sonego wins. And
like I said, I actually don't feel that way because like I looked at the match pretty extensively, and like there was a lot of data points to point to Zverev, man. Like. I really, I didn't feel bad about that bet, and I still don't. Like, that wasn't that ridiculous. I mean, it was 3 and 6. It wasn't like an insane beatdown or anything like that. It was, and Yeah, I mean, look, Rublev was the better player, and Rublev, but like Rublev had struggled in the tournament up until, so I didn't, and Rublev hadn't had the best February either.
Mm-hmm.
So granted, he was the defending champ, and that would be I probably underranked that in my like analysis in my pre-match kind of weighting of different factors, but I don't know.
As far as Zverev goes, like the two things I look at are how well he's hitting his forehand. Like if he's confident with his forehand and he's being aggressive with that shot, that's like a signal to me that he's kind of getting back. And obviously the second serve, right?
Well, I think, but honestly, what he started to do is, and this is a little bit under realizing or underappreciated with him, is he started to take more off the first serve and make more first serves to get around the problem of having a not so good second serve. And I think it's actually worked for him pretty well. Like I think he was serving like 70-80% first serves in.
He has, right. But once he gets in the points, like his backhand is world class, right?
Yeah.
So it's like how well is he hitting his forehand? Because that's where those errors come, right? When he's not confident, he's missing a lot of forehands.
I agree. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's all the way back. I don't think he's like pre-injury Zverev, but I think he's looking better.
Looking better. I mean, he's definitely looking better than like team. It's not that hard.
Yeah, when we talk about if you had to rank teams, Zverev and Schwartzman, I think it's pretty obvious now who's number one in that group.
Right. And do we have a first round match for Indian Wells yet, or it's no? It looks like it's going to be.
Well, I'm sure he's got a bye.
Yeah, he has a bye. It's probably going to be a qualifier or something. So, So yeah, I mean he's getting better. So we'll have to kind of play it match by match and see what his matchups are and like how well he matches up against that particular player before we bet.
I mean, I feel like I'm honestly betting him as somebody like around his rank right now, like somewhere in the mid-teens. Like that's kind of how I'm treating him. So, I think I probably just won't be betting a whole lot of Zverev line for a while because like I don't know, I feel like the books kind of I thought the books were a little slow, honestly, I thought they were a little high on Zverev for most of Feb, but I think now things have probably lined up finally. So that's my thoughts on Zverev. I guess moving over to Rublev. Thoughts on Rublev?
Yeah, we could talk about Rublev. Did you have any bets this week on him?
Honestly, I had some bets. Or he wasn't the champion; he was the finalist. But I don't think I won any bets on him. I bet against him. I faded him in the semis, the finals. I had him over 12.5 versus VDZ. So that worked out, I guess, well for me because he kind of choked away the second set. I mean, that's what was a weird week for him because like he still is like, I don't know, man. Like I don't like the way those first few rounds went. Like that's way too close against guys who are below his level in VDZ and ADF.
Well, honestly, I like the over 12.5 for Rublev, to be honest, because like you never know, like he's going to get frustrated and stuff and like pull his, get angry and, pull his shirt and necklace and whatever. But like, he's always going to like compete.
Do you think that's good for him? Do you think he'd be better off if he calmed down the antics a little bit?
Absolutely. The antics are just out of control. Like he needs to calm it down. Like,
and you think it hurts his tennis?
In the past, I was like, oh, actually, like he has antics and then he still performs pretty well, but it's like it has to take a toll on him, like it has to. It's just a bit much, like he's just over the top with it.
I guess like I don't care so much about the antics if they like make him play better.
They don't make him necessarily play better. They don't necessarily make him play worse, but like I don't think it helps him.
Yeah, I wonder. I guess the question I would ask is like, what if the antics weren't there? Like, what would like? Because it might be that he needs those in order to play decently at all. I don't know. Like, it might be that if he didn't have the antics, his level would just tank out completely. I don't know. Because he's a pretty intense dude when he plays.
He is.
And I don't feel it's like a fitness issue. So I don't feel like the antics like cause him to like get like physically tired. So it would just be, is it like mentally exhausting for him to have? And like I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's mentally freeing for him because he can get rid
I
of the
think he
emotion.
just expects so much out of himself, and like when he's missing balls, it's like he just, it just frustrates him to no end, right?
Well, and we've seen him really lose it a few times, right? And really go away. Like the Rude match, he was almost crying. At the last year's World Tour Finals,
Right.
there was he completely went away against Djokovic in the Australian. Like, but he's another guy who it's interesting, man. So if you look at his losses this year, RBA to start the year, first match of the year, very excusable. Kokkinakis in Adelaide too, where Kokkinakis is a top 10 player.
That was 3 sets though, right?
Yeah, it was a third set. Yeah, it was 3 sets against a top 10 player. Top 10 player, Kokkinakis in Adelaide too. Lost. He obviously got hammered by Djokovic in Australia.
Right.
Lost at de Minaur in Rotterdam. That's not a great loss. Like he should win that match.
No. And that was easy,
then lost
right? That was like 3 and 4.
Yeah, 4 and 4.
Right.
But yeah.
Like,
and then a 3 set loss to Lechka in Doha, which is again not good. But I mean, Lechka's that's also a feather in Lechka's cap. Like, but he's another guy who hasn't been like that bad. Like he's been.
Which is why I think the over 12.5 is a really good bet, because besides the de Minaur loss and the Djokovic loss, like every loss was kind of close, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And the Medvedev loss in the final. The Medvedev loss is, he just got destroyed.
Right.
And honestly, by the second set, he looked like he had no idea what to do. He looked like
when he plays Medvedev in that form, we're not betting Rublev anyway, right? We're just focused on
I didn't think Medvedev. Right? I mean, and like I can understand why he looked kind of perturbed and exhausted and like just mentally just not like he didn't know what to do, because like it really seemed like he didn't have like an answer for Medvedev's defense.
Yeah, he doesn't. But like against kind of top 30 to top 50 opposition, right? He's good enough to win, right? He competes, even though he has like occasional meltdowns, right? But he's not good enough usually to blow them out, right? Which is why I think the over 12.5 with Rublev is a very like.
He's a good over 12.5 guy.
I think he is.
I agree.
So that's usually the bet I play with him. And then guys like Djokovic or Medvedev, you're not even looking at that. You're only looking at the Medvedev Djokovic side, right?
Yeah.
Pick the best Medvedev or Djokovic line. You're not thinking about Rublev. So
but really, I mean, but outside of those two guys, is there anybody else who you'd put in that category where that Rublev can't beat?
Alcaraz.
Has he played Alcaraz?
I don't think so, but it's the same level, right? Like he just does everything better.
I don't know. I actually think you'd have a better chance against Alcaraz. Alcaraz, like, I don't know. It's just my personal thought, but it feels like Alcaraz misses a little bit more than either. Like he doesn't tee up as well as those guys do. And I also feel like a big part of Alcaraz's game is physicality, and I don't think that would trouble Rublev. Like, I don't think Rublev's going to get out physical. He's just going to maybe get like frustrated and not be able to like beat really good like defense that gets the ball back deep. But like, I don't feel like he's going to get like out physical and get like worn down by Alcaraz.
But the only thing to me that would give him a better chance against Alcaraz is the fact that he misses more, right?
Well, that's kind of a big deal though, right? Like misses and points. Like that's one way to win in tennis is to have the other guy miss.
That's true, but I think like Rublev is not good in the corners, right? Like he's not good at defending in difficult spots.
Yeah, and he's not good at defending in like awkward spots. You're right. Like
Alcaraz kind of, you can make the argument that he hits bigger than both Djokovic and Medvedev.
I mean, I would, right? I would say that that's probably a factual statement.
Defends kind of to the same level, right? So the
well, except he misses more, right? So I don't know. He would like
okay. But he misses more on offense. He doesn't miss much on defense. He misses more on offense.
True, I guess. I still feel like he misses a little more on defense than Medvedev or Djokovic, but I don't think that's like a knock on Alcaraz. I think that's more of a statement on Medvedev and Djokovic.
Okay. Fair. I just think like his problem is defending from corners. Like, he's great when he's on the front foot,
Yeah, no, you're right. And because the problem is if he gets into long rallies with guys, right? Like,
right.
Then eventually the guy's going to get him in an awkward position. He's in trouble. tend to agree with that. I think that's
He's in trouble. Yeah, exactly. And then like Medvedev can prolong rallies, right? So Rublev has to hit like 5 or 6 good balls. Plus, he doesn't come to net. So it just makes it just potentiates that problem and gives those guys more chances to point around. That's his problem. That Medvedev Rublev match, we can talk about that. Like, I got every bet right. We both, I think, called that match absolutely correct.
I was annoyed with myself because I was gonna bet. I told you I was gonna bet like Medvedev. I was gonna bet like Medvedev like -6 at like plus 260 or something insane. And I considered doing it, and then I backed off because I thought that I don't know. I thought Rublev had a chance. Maybe he played pretty well against Zverev. He actually had won the last 2 in the head-to-head matchup. He was defending champ. Like there were a few data points there backing Rublev, so I backed off it.
But that's a substantially worse Medvedev that he played, right?
I agree.
Finals.
But he still had won the last 2, right? There's still a reason to believe going into the match.
Okay. I played the Medvedev -5.5 line at plus 155 because, like, what was the line? 4.5?
Yeah.
Right. And like, to me, I felt like it doesn't matter. You could play 5.5, you could play 6.5. Like, if Medvedev is gonna like dominate, he's gonna win like 2-2, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So and I had Medvedev to lead at two love after 2 games. I mean, that was a sweat, but like it's just Rublev had no way to win points in that match. Like, he didn't.
Yeah. Other than Medvedev missing.
It's crazy. So let's transition over to Medvedev. Like, what do you see from him coming up in Indian Wells and Miami, where he's historically?
I don't know. I think this is an interesting one because I'm a little worried because he's played a lot of tennis the past 3 weeks, man. I mean, he just pulled off the triple, right?
Rotterdam,
Doha, and Dubai. So, and I said this last week, I was a little confused as to why he played all 3, unless he thinks like it's no big deal. He's going to play Rotterdam, Doha, Dubai, and then play Indian Wells, Miami, and be just fine. And I guess maybe that's the case. There are a few more off days in Indian Wells than there are in a traditional a traditional best of 3 event.
He won't play till Friday or Saturday.
But I mean, even after that, right? He'll get a few off days during the tournament. Whereas a lot of times, like in a 250 or a 500, you start playing Wednesday and you play 5 days in a row.
Right.
This one will be, he'll probably play what, like 6 matches in like 10 days or something along those lines. Yeah, 6 matches, 9 days, 6 matches, something like that. So he'll have a few off days even after his first, even once he's in the tournament. So it's a little different in that respect. But yeah, man, I mean, he's been dominant. I mean,
he's been incredible.
Like, the past few tournaments, like these were impressive runs. I mean, O'Connell took a set right in Doha because Medvedev kind of fell asleep. Sinner took a set in Rotterdam in the final because he played his butt off.
Oh, he played an amazing first set. That was
yeah. But like, and then ADF took a set in Rotterdam, but that was I think more again Medvedev. Like, I guess that's the only tricky thing of like betting Medvedev is that like sometimes he just falls asleep for like prolonged periods of time. Like, he'll just like go for like a mental walk for like 6, 7, 8 games, and the spreads on him are starting to get so big that like, it's really hard to cover.
It's really hard, yeah.
I think you still have to bet it and just know you're going to lose a third of the time and like accept that. But the spreads have gotten so huge. Like when it's a 6-game spread with Medvedev.
Like, what I've noticed also is that those he's more likely to cover those bigger spreads or play well without a quote unquote meltdown against like a lower ranked player. Like those meltdowns happen more against like O'Connell, right?
Yeah, but O'Connell's not a high ranked player. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, if he has maximum respect for a guy like a Rublev, for example, who he's friends with, like a Djokovic, right? He's not.
Oh, so you're saying the opposite? Okay, so like against lower ranked guys, there's a threat of
that, right? But against a higher ranked guy, which he matches up well against, like a FAA, for example, a Rublev, for example, right? But he matches up well. He's not going to have a meltdown.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I guess maybe it's the top guys, but I don't know that I don't know if that's really that relevant because like he's not getting those massive spreads against like top 10 guys. It's a whole different ball game anyways, right?
But but I think like betting a 3.5 against the FAA or a 4.5 against a Rublev has a lot of value because he's not going to have one of those meltdowns.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes those guys are competitive. Like FAA was pretty competitive with him in Doha, right? He was 4-6, and the second set was 9-7 in the tiebreak. So like FAA was in. I watched a little bit of that match. FAA was in that match,
but he destroyed him in Rotterdam, and I think more like I don't know. I think it's a good matchup for Medvedev though. I also think the spread there was not 3.5. It was like 2.
It was. He actually did cover the spread.
Oh,
my point is like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And then like, yeah, it's like
if Medvedev plays a Fritz, for example, right? Like, what's that spread? 2?
No. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be 4 and a half now. Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's playing. I mean that was the spread with Rublev, wasn't it? Wasn't the spread like 4 against Rublev at least?
But Fritz is 5 in the world.
Rublev is 9 in the world. You really hate Rublev, like really, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like Fritz and Rublev are in the same tier, I think.
No, to me Fritz is on a slightly higher tier.
So is Rublev not a top 10 player to you? I mean, I think Rublev. He's like Fritz is a top. We talked about this on the last pod, right? Fritz is somewhere in the bottom of the top 10. Is that not where Rublev is?
He's teens. He's like between 11 and 15 to me.
And there's a 2.5 game difference between the two, like a guy who's 9 or 10.
Yeah, I just think Fritz is better from the baseline. And he has slightly better rally tolerance, and he has slightly better ball quality on both wings. And I think that gives him an edge over Rublev in that matchup against Medvedev, particularly.
That like the way they match up with Medvedev, I still don't know, man. I think Medvedev is quite a bit better right now than both those guys. Like I don't see how that would be a 2-game like right now. I don't see how that would be a 2-game spread for Medvedev. Like the only guy is anybody in Medvedev's tier right now on a hard court besides Djokovic? Maybe Tsitsipas on a fast hard court.
Yeah, but Tsitsipas like can't really keep it up. Like he had a great Australian Open. He had a great start to the year, but he's been bad since then.
Well, no, I mean, what he played 2 matches or something, right? He just didn't play much.
Yeah, okay.
Like, did he play? He played Rotterdam, right? And did he play anything else?
I don't think so.
And am I really drawing into any conclusions from Tsitsipas losing to Sinner in Rotterdam? I don't think so. I don't think it's a very relevant loss.
Okay, that's fair. It's fair to say.
I don't even know how much. Honestly, Medvedev pulling off this triple is it's only in my mind it's only relevant because he kind of had fallen off a little bit and there were some questions and now the questions are answered.
Yeah, right.
But if he had been in the top 5, I wouldn't be necessarily impressed by it. I don't know. I feel like for these top 10 guys, it's Masters, slams, and that's kind of it.
I'm impressed by the guys he's beaten though. I'm impressed by a 4-4 win against Djokovic. I'm impressed with.
I'm not as impressed by that.
I'm impressed with 2 straight set wins against FAA. He's beaten top 10 guys through.
Yeah, I think that's more impressive. I think the Djokovic win to me is less impressive. Nothing is not impressive, but I'm not
that Djokovic win. I mean, that was.
I thought he played great, but I just I don't know. I don't think Djokovic is peaking for 500s. I don't think adding another Dubai title to his.
Yeah, but Djokovic, he takes every match seriously. It's not like he's
It's not a matter of not taking the match seriously. It's a matter of how you train, right? You think he's training to peak at Dubai?
I don't think so, but he plays so little where it's I don't he seemed to be taking that match extremely seriously. It's not oh, it's not a slam, so I'm not going to try. It's not like that. I think
it's more of it's a how you're training, right? Are you training it's not how he's showing up on game day. It's how he's training, right? Is he training like, I imagine he's got a pretty set regimen for training for slams. I imagine he's not doing much the week beforehand. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going all out on the practice course the week before Dubai, and because Dubai is just not like, again, it's not like he doesn't care, but it's like it's not the end goal.
But I think he's training all the time to peak for slams. Like he trains with the same intensity to train for those events. It's not like he's like training less hard because he's playing in Dubai,
No, he's training harder the week before because he knows the next week is like it's a tournament, but it's not a crucial tournament. But it's like the week before a slam, you might rest your legs a little bit. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be something there. Like, I don't know, just like as an athlete, right? You're gonna peak. You're gonna try to peak for the key events of the season.
But you know how the general tennis public always talks about Indian Well or like Masters 1000s, like before slams as like warm up events. You never, ever, ever hear players talking about tournaments as warm up events. They're just trying to win that particular tournament. It's very rare. The term warm up tournament has only been designated by kind of like tennis analysts.
I'm going to fade that take. I think that some of these players are treating. I mean, and you can look at examples. I think there's definitely examples of when guys have other motivations besides winning individual tournaments. Especially tournaments like the week. I mean, like there was a time a few years ago where Schwartzman beat Nadal in like Rome, and it felt like Nadal had won Madrid and didn't really like it. Not that he didn't want to win the match, but like losing wasn't the worst thing in the world for him. That like tactically he wasn't like maybe they were tactically going to leave in the bag or clubs would leave in the bag. So I don't know. I feel like I don't think they're like warm up events in the sense that I think the players are trying, but like I also feel like there's times when a loss isn't the worst thing for a player. And I think that, I think
this loss wasn't bad for Djokovic. Like it has nothing to do. It doesn't impact his resume or it doesn't impact what we think about him going into.
It has no impact on how I want to bet him. And honestly, it has no. I would still take Djokovic over Medvedev at pretty similar line to what I would have before. Like if I had to bet the money line again, I don't think Medvedev beating Djokovic moves the line much for me, even in betting it.
In that match this week in Dubai, like what was the line you would have taken Medvedev at? Like if you were betting money line, like if the books placed a price on Medvedev, like what is the minimum price you would take?
Probably like 250 or something.
Really?
Maybe 230.
Yeah, I would have taken it if I saw plus 190.
So we're not that far off, right? 190 and 230 really aren't that far off. I mean, 190 means you think you get a 35% chance of winning. 230 means I thought he had like a 30% chance.
And what was it? Like plus 165?
Something like that, yeah. Book. But the book's always going to take juice, right? So that's the biggest difference. So you're saying 35, I'm saying 30. The book is only giving you 39, but a big piece of that is the juice. So
Djokovic was slightly vulnerable. Like that 3-set lost win against Machak was, I mean, that was a great match actually. Machak,
but like again, like that's kind of what makes me say, right? Like, do you think that's going like a tough 5-set match at a slam? Like, you don't think Djokovic would be like, if it's a slam, you don't think he's like peaked up and ears ready to go, like more so than like here, It just felt like he was just playing. It felt like this was a warm up tournament for. Well, this was a warm tournament for nothing because he's not playing Indian Wells or Miami now. But like, I don't know.
I think like if he played Tomas Machak right at in Australia, like Machak could have won the second set, and then Djokovic wins the third 7-6, and the fourth is probably 6-love. Like that's how I think the match goes, and it's like it's a blowout, right? Because like you see the 6-love fourth set.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think there's something to be said for these players, especially not a whole lot of them, but like Djokovic, Nadal, like these guys who have such extensive resumes that like, and so much prize money and so much endorsement money coming in, like, and I'm not saying they don't care because they're obviously like top tier competitors, so they care, right? But like, again, there's a difference in like, I'm training to win this tournament and I'm using this tournament as training to win the next tournament. And are there tactics? And then tactically, right? Are there tactics that Djokovic isn't going to use because he wants to save them for a bigger match versus Medvedev?
I don't think there are any secrets between the two guys, to be honest. Like they know exactly what they're gonna do. You know, like those guys they've played enough where it's not really, and they're so smart, both of them. Like they're just probably the two smartest tacticians out there that it's like,
ooh, I don't know, man. Like I get where you're saying that from, but I think that's another more like ability to execute makes you look a lot smarter. I think Djokovic is the greatest tactician to ever play the game, but we're gonna like there might be guys who are better tacticians, but if they're not executing the shots as well, you can't even tell.
okay, that's fair.
Well, like if Rublev didn't have a massive game, would we criticize his tactics as much? I don't think we would, because you wouldn't even notice, because he would just be like decent at everything and probably somewhere in like the 50s or 60s.
But even when Rublev is playing well, I don't think he's a good tactician.
No, but I'm saying but this is a little bit of the opposite. I'm saying kind of the opposite thing, where like you only notice it when it's like when there's something else that's significantly better. Right? When we think of Djokovic as being a great tactician, it's only because he's good enough to make those tactics work. I still think he's a great tactician. Like that's not the argument, but the argument is like there may be a better tactician out there that we just like don't really like. Schwartzman was a great tactician, I would argue. Mm-hmm. And like, but it's just like, you know, like you're not gonna.
When I talk about tactician, I talk about ability to make adjustments when things are not going well. Right?
Yeah, but that's because he's got like a lot of. But like part of that is like it's I guess it's like it's the same. It's the opposite thing we talked about with Fritz before, right? Where it's like it's not the like having more clubs in the bag enables you to hit different clubs, right? Is the golf analogy. Like if you only have one club in the bag, it might not be a mental thing. It might be you only have one club in the bag, so you only hit the one club you have in the bag, right? Whereas like it's part mental and part physical. And for Djokovic, like he's got all the clubs in the bag, including the serve now. So like it's very easy to say, oh yeah, he's a great tactician. He's able to make adjustments to anything that comes his way because he's got it all, right? It's like why he's the greatest of all time.
True, but I like even if something doesn't work, I want to see someone make adjustments. You know, like.
But like, I mean, here's a question: like, who else has the ability to go into like different styles of play and be good in like almost any different style? Like who else has even shown they can do that? Not even mentally, but just like physically. Like that's part of the reason that makes Djokovic so much better is that like
I think Alcaraz has shown a little bit of that, even at his young age, right?
A little bit, maybe not the serve. Right, the serve is probably the one thing that Bill's missing there. But yeah, I'd argue that's closer. He definitely goes to the drop shot. He can come into the net a little bit more when he needs to.
I think that obviously Nadal. I actually think Federer.
I actually don't know how much Nadal has done that, and how much of Nadal is just being such a physical beast that it doesn't matter. I feel like you don't see.
I disagree with that. I've seen him change his return position quite a bit. I've seen him.
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, when have you ever seen him come up to the baseline to return a serve?
It's more often like than you could imagine. Not on clay, but on hard court, he does.
I don't know.
He did against Medvedev. I also think, you know, like against Djokovic, he kind of implemented the slice. You know, when he lost all those matches in 2011, he started using the slice more to kind of open up his forehand. Like Nadal is, he makes a lot of in-match adjustments. Kind of, it doesn't feel that way, but he does. I've seen it, but yeah, I mean, you make a valid point because like I don't know if there are too many guys that really have shown that, you know, that they have the ability to make those adjustments. Obviously, Holger Rune hasn't, Sinner hasn't, FAA hasn't.
But like, okay, but how many of those guys? But those guys, they only play one way. So I don't think it's like a mental thing. I think it's like they just have a limited number of shots, and like you're like it's really hard. And I don't even know if it's the right thing to try to develop more shots. Like, because it would take a long time to do that, right? Like that would be like a lot.
Honestly, this is the reason why they're not winning slams.
But like, how many guys in the world have the ability to win slams? Like, especially in this era, right? Like, they may just not have enough ability.
They gotta find ways to implement a plan B. Find ways, like they gotta. That's what they really have to.
But how do you get like it's hard to learn like a shot at a professional level, right? If you haven't,
it is hard, but it's not meant to be easy. I mean that's the reason.
But how many guys like could they even do that? Like, and how much effort would it take, and would it detract from the rest of their game? If they're not, because anytime you're working, if you're spending time working on your slice, that's time you're not spending working on your topspin backhand, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but like to me, that's like I think we're pinpointing the main reason why guys outside Djokovic and Nadal are not winning slams. Even like though they're at the end of their career and all these guys are like, 15 years younger, with the exception of Alcaraz. Like, I think that's the biggest reason, because these matches, like these 3 out of 5 set matches, are too long where you have to make adjustments. Like, guys are going to, find ways to attack your holes.
I don't disagree. I just think it's like it's why they're not as good. Like, it's like the problem isn't like a lack of mental. I mean, some of it is, but the problem isn't like a lack of mental intelligence. It's just like they're not good enough. Like, they're not as good at the game of tennis.
So you don't think they're physically good enough to implement those things? And like,
I think it would probably how many years do you think Rublev have to spend practicing in order to really have the ability to change his game and hit with like different varieties and speeds and spins?
I honestly don't think Rublev is like willing to change. Like he's so confident in what he does.
But maybe he shouldn't be, is my point. Like, yeah, he might have to go. I mean, he might have to take 3 steps back and might not be able to make the steps forward after that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
It's like, do you practice your strengths or practice your weaknesses, right? Like, Federer talked about this a lot. Like, where he would be like, it's like it's almost as important to practice your strengths as your weaknesses, right? And so, like,
right,
I don't know, like we talk about a lot of these guys who are in the fives, teens, like they have major strengths, and if they lost those strengths, then they wouldn't be able to play as well either.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think another thing which guys have to work on to win slams is their defense. Like, why was Medvedev able to win a slam? Why was Alcaraz able to win a slam? Because their defense is impeccable, right? Like,
yeah.
To me, good defense in tennis beats good offense.
I mean, I'll agree with that right now, partially because of the technology. They've slowed the courts down. Like, there's a lot, although they're starting to speed them back up now a little bit. But yeah, I would agree with that. I think the technology's done a lot there. Just the string technology. It's a lot easier to play defense than it used to be, for sure. Going back like 15, 20 years, like in the Agassi days, it was a lot harder to play defense. Right.
Like, I don't think a guy like Pete Sampras, who serves in volley, will ever win a slam again. It doesn't feel that way.
I mean, Federer won slams playing mostly offense, and in his prime, he could definitely play defense really well too. But he was an offensive.
But most of his slams
player.
were actually when he was the best defender in the game as well, right? Back in the early 2000s, right?
You think in the
he was the best offensive player and the best defensive player
in the late 2000s when Nadal was around. I mean, I think Nadal was a better defender than him pretty much after 2007.
Okay, but he was still adjusting to other surfaces besides clay. Like, between 04 and 08, yes, I think Federer overall.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll agree with that. Yeah, and you're right. That's where he won the most of his.
But then as soon as better defenders came on, that's when Federer started having problems.
Well, I mean, having problems is a little bit of a exaggeration,
right.
But your standard is rather high, man. Like, everybody should win slams. Everybody should.
He didn't have problems with his bank. He doesn't have problems with his bank account. But yeah, all right. Let's get back to the betting. So in terms of Medvedev, I mean, like I placed the futures on him at plus 350.
Yeah,
To
it ended
win
up
the
going really well
tournament.
for you. I mean, that ended up going really well.
That was really good, but I placed it after the first round, which I think is key when you're placing futures because, like, especially in smaller events, you don't know how these top guys are going to show up. You know?
I don't know though, because like when you said Medvedev was showing up in really strong form after he lost a set to Fokina.
Yeah, I thought Medvedev would show up, but like, still, I wanted to wait it out and watch one round. You know?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it matters that much. Like the reality is, like usually after like I'm like you're saying you want to see him play around, and like I don't think like seeing him beat Fokina in 3 sets made me feel, oh man, he's a much better player.
Well, I
And
didn't do it in Rotterdam. I didn't have confidence in him at that point.
yeah, but I don't know. I feel like it's in between because like but the reality is that, so what I'll say is to go the other way with it. Like I also don't feel like the lines move that much. Like if they beat an unseeded guy the first round, it's not like the line's going to change that much. It's not like if you were getting plus 1,000 before, it's not like you're going to get plus 200. Like you'll still get plus like 900 or something. So it doesn't really like it doesn't hurt you that much. I also feel like we take into account like sometimes it's easy to overweight the initial round of a tournament because guys are like playing their way into the tournament, getting a feel for the surface, getting a feel for the conditions.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, Medvedev didn't have that tough of a road. Like he played Arnaldi in the first round, so
This isn't a bad grouping. Bublik in a round of 16 is not bad. Porch is a little bit
it's a bad
overrated right
matchup.
now. Yeah, it's a
Like,
bad matchup, but how many guys like is he going to face in the round of 16 that are going to be like really tough matchups for him?
I guess, but like, he was only plus 160 against Djokovic or plus 165, yet you could get plus 350 on the futures, right? And
Yeah,
like,
but it's hard to win 4 matches in a row. Like if he's got a 90% chance of winning 4 matches in a row, if you just multiply those out as independent events, that means there's a 1/3, assuming he's a 90% chance to beat all 4 guys he plays against, that means there's a 1 out of 3 chance he loses one of those 4 matches.
I guess, and then there's a risk because he played so much, right?
That's why I didn't hit it. There was a risk that he played too much. And I honestly didn't see I still don't see why it helps him to win this triple. I don't even see why he played Dubai.
It's
Like other than the
probably,
prize money.
like because there was like he hasn't played well recently, right? So
Yeah, but so he
and also
wouldn't feel
he's
good
not that
enough.
good on clay, so he's trying to rack up as many points as possible.
But he only gets to count 6 of these, right? Because he only gets to count, I think, a max of like 6 500s and 250s. So it's not going to help him that much.
I guess. I mean, I think he's also trying to peak for these two events, and like he hasn't done well in Indian Wells and Miami historically, so I think he wants.
No, that's kind of been a thing on him that he struggled. He struggles in the beginning of the season, and I think it's probably most driven by Indian Wells and Miami. I guess interesting, right? These are probably two of the slowest hard courts out there. Those two in Acapulco.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
is it as slow? Like it's interesting because he's actually now going to move to a slower hard court surface. So as we look at like Indian Wells and Miami, like are you going to like look to hit a Djokovic or a Medvedev futures? If it's like, let's say,
Take a closer look at the draw. On first glance, I think Medvedev has a pretty easy draw. I'm tempted to hit it. It depends what value I can get though. Like,
because I'd be concerned about the court speed. Like I feel like these are really slow hard courts. Like Indian Wells, I think one of the slowest hard courts in the world that you'll get. Acapulco is another super slow hard court. I would be like, I don't know. I don't know if a slow hard court favors Medvedev.
I don't think it truly matters because his defense is so amazing. Like if he's in the mood that he showed against Djokovic and Rublev, like I don't think it matters really. Like I think he beats 99% of these guys regardless of a slow or fast hard court. It's dependent on him more than the court speed, in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's only interesting because he hasn't done well here historically. But there could be, you're right. There could be a variety of reasons outside of the court speed. It doesn't like the narrative doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense. It's just like the data says that he doesn't do well in these two tournaments, but it's interesting.
I think he's going to try to rack up as many points because like he knows the clay is not going to be good. And like, he doesn't like being out of the top 10. Like he needs to be in the top 10, you know, like I think he's back there now, but like,
Yeah, he's seventh.
he should be a top 5 guy, you know, like,
yeah.
Right. So, all right, switching gears. Who's the next guy we're going to talk about? Are we good with Dubai?
I mean, anything else? Any other thoughts from Dubai as a tournament?
I mean, those are the main takeaways, to be honest. Not really.
Honestly, I thought it was the lamest tournament. I don't know. I just love the tennis wasn't as good in Santiago, but I just love that tournament.
Yeah,
Like,
I hear you, man.
um,
I mean, there were some good matches in Dubai, like that Djokovic Machak match, like first round was
it was a
amazing.
really high quality match. Yeah, Machak played his butt off.
Amazing. Amazing. That was a
Yeah.
great tennis match.
I mean, thoughts on VDZ? Is he a guy you look to continue fading? I thought he looked a little better, actually. I mean,
a little bit, but
he beat Kachanov. He smoked Kachanov. I thought that probably was just more of Kachanov just haven't been coming off a long layoff than anything, but he did beat Kachanov. He did give Rublev.
I didn't watch that match, but yeah, I don't know.
I didn't either.
He did not impress me against Rublev whatsoever. I don't know. I feel like he's making a lot of errors. Like VDZ is not like he's not hitting with the same aggression that he was
Yeah,
last.
I agree. I agree. I thought Kokkinakis is kind of interesting. Like Kokkinakis got another win on stage. He's actually playing decently okay. He did really well in the Challenger in Bahrain. He picked up a win here, so over Hallis. So I thought that was actually kind of interesting. It's a match I bet we both bet Hallis on, and Kokkinakis hurt our bank accounts there. I thought that was interesting. He won his first round qualifier. Granted, the guy he beat Sugita, I think, who's a guy who's coming back off a injury.
But close. It was like 6-3.
6-3, one break. I mean, Kokkinakis dominated the match. Like I think he only lost 8 points on serve the whole match. I actually watched the match.
Okay.
Like he just had a hard time breaking Sugita. Yeah, I'm looking at results.
He lost to Koric, right? In the round of 16.
But a close match. I mean, he took a set off Koric. Yeah. Koric is another guy I'm looking to fade. I think it says probably more as much about Koric as Kokkinakis.
I'm gonna keep doing that. He beat Kokkinakis in 3. I bet Kokkinakis there, but like
I just thought it was interesting to see Kokkinakis win like an ATP main draw match out of Australia. Because he seems to really struggle when he's not in Australia, right? So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, still looking to fade Koric. He's probably up there on my list of guys who, and it still seems like the books are still giving him like top 30 respect.
Give him respect, yeah.
Yeah.
Just do the Cincinnati win.
I think that's it. I mean, Greek Sport got beat pretty good by Djokovic.
I'm impressed by him though. Like Greek Sport, he's been good. You know?
Yeah, I don't think losing to Djokovic 2 and 3 is terrible, right? Like I tend to agree with that.
That was also Djokovic's best match in the tournament. Like he played
makes sense
in that match. Greek Sport actually didn't play that badly. I saw most of it. They had some like 14 deuce. I think they had a 14 deuce game and like a 9 deuce game. It was
insane. Yeah. It could have been closer. That could have been like a 4-3 match.
Could have been closer.
Match. Yeah. I mean, Greek Sports, he's still hanging in there.
He hits big off both wings. That's what helps him, right? He hits huge off both wings. So, no, I'm definitely gonna look to, like if he's playing, say a Rublev or a Tsitsipas, like I'm gonna hit plus the games with Greek Sport. Like,
okay.
So
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot else to say about Dubai. We covered that pretty well.
Not too much pain. I would say.
Yeah, for me in terms of betting, it was okay. Like it was very meh. I actually thought I did like I had some decent bets. I had some bets that didn't go so well.
Mhm. All right, moving on to Acapulco. We're gonna save the Golden Swing for last, right? Because we love it
Yeah.
so much.
Yep.
Um, so we talked about Minaur being the Bulldog of the week. Let's talk a little bit about Fritz and Paul, like the Americans, Fritz, Paul, and Tiafoe.
So I thought Tiafoe was a huge disappointment. Like I don't know how low you end up in a tiebreak with this version of Feliciano Lopez. Like Lopez, he actually can still serve. Like he came out of the grave, right? But he's coming out to play like I guess Lopez is coming out to play like a few tournaments. This is his retirement year, so he's coming out to play like a few tournaments that he enjoyed playing in his career. So and they're gonna give him wild cards wherever he wants. So cool.
Yeah.
But anyways, but Tiafoe ended up in a tiebreak with Lopez, which I thought was just really bad. Like it was 2-6, and I bet that +5 and I pushed it, but I was like really disappointed to push that. I just like Lopez has nothing at this point in his career outside of serve. And I thought Tiafoe should get at least one break in each set. Like if he'd won 4-4 or 4-3, I would have thought it was better than 2-6. So I just thought getting taken to 6 by Lopez really bad, and then he should have went for nothing with that match against Fritz. He just gave nothing.
I think the match was slightly against Fritz. It was slightly closer than the score indicated, but like he just choked a lot of break points, to be honest. Like I don't think Fritz did anything special on those break points, right?
True. It just seemed like he didn't have that much energy.
I know.
That's probably what was more concerning. It's like Tiafoe's like an energy guy, and he talks about how he like loves Acapulco. It's like it's one of his favorite crowd scenes, and he came out with like no energy, which was weird. I mean, and I don't know, maybe there's a different reason for it, but it's weird. It's a little concerning after the poor performance in the celebrity game. Now I'm a little poor performance on the celebrity game, poor performance on the tennis court. Like this isn't good.
Let's steer away from the basketball and let's focus on the tennis. All right, come on, Tiafoe. All right. Same with Berrettini. Can we focus less on the modeling and focus more on the tennis? I mean, that performance gets ruined. You made those fans wait out the rain delay to play 2 more games, lose them easily, and then retire. Like that was disgraceful. Like Berrettini has lost some brownie points.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing I say is maybe that hamstring's worse than we realize, Like, I don't know, because it was really weird that he would get beat 0-1, 6-0, 1-0 by Rune.
Yeah, it's really
like.
I mean, if he plays Indian Wells, I might fade Berrettini, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I guess looking at it, like, I don't know. I'm going back to I don't know. I mean, like, it's amazing, man. Like, so Fritz, that was a pretty good score Fritz put up against Tiafoe, but it was 55-45 was the points won percentage.
Tiafoe had multiple break points to get back in that match.
He had 4 for the match, and like you're right. I didn't think Fritz did all that well on those break points. You know what I mean? It was I don't know.
Tiafoe just missed balls and like I don't know. He just
it just seemed like very energy lacking, which is kind of concerning.
It is.
And like I said, it's also like they didn't play well against Lopez.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Like so it's having 2 matches and neither one was great. Like I would have been fine if he would have played well against Lopez and then lost to Fritz. So I guess moving on to Fritz.
I
don't know, man. Like I think we know who Fritz is. He's like we talk about this at your place. I think he's actually the best. He's top 3 ball striker in the game. Like who's a better ball striker than him? Maybe Rublev and Sinner off the forehand. Probably, and I think Fritz has a better pure like in the strike zone backhand ball striking than both. He just doesn't have much else besides pure ball striking.
Right.
He's got a pretty good mental game. I think he's pretty good at like keeping like an even keel. He's like I actually think his tactics are pretty good. He's just limited in like the number of tools in his bag. But I don't see him hit like a whole lot of dumb shots. He just doesn't have like.
And actually, when the rallies are kind of like neutral with both guys, like he hits a lot of quality balls, like in corners and stuff. Like they're kind of
and
difficult
balls
for
into good
guys to.
spots. Like he hits a lot of
Yeah,
balls into the right
exactly.
place in the court. Like he's just
Right.
like it's just very obvious he's a trained tennis player as
Yeah,
opposed to like he just lacks fluidity and creativity.
he
But
does.
like I don't know, other than that, like he's done a lot. I mean, it's really impressive what he's done.
It's amazing to me when watching him that he's top 5 in the world. Like it's crazy. Like I
Yeah,
you'd never expect that from just a guy that's, as you said, just a pure trained tennis player,
yeah.
but lacks variety, right? Lacks movement. Like, we talked about, like, why doesn't he run around more for, backhands to hit his big forehand? Like, probably because he's just not capable,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like it's weird though, because so we talk about this. It feels like he just lacks like quickness more than speed, and like again like fluidity. Right? He just doesn't move like
Fluidity. Yeah.
it's like not speed and it's not like endurance. It's like it's different. It's fluidity, right? It's the ability to move and like glide around the court. He just doesn't have.
Well, like when you watch Alcaraz, like the Alcaraz is so fluid and just so effortless, like with his movement. Like you don't with Fritz, it's like feels like he's straining to get to the ball. Like he gets there, but it's like I don't know. Like that's why I kind of feel like he's kind of reached his peak, right? Like it's amazing where he's gotten, but I don't know how much higher he can go.
I agree. I agree.
So,
I
but
agree.
yeah, I mean, I don't. The loss to Paul, I don't really like hold against him. I mean, that was just such a physical, brutal war, right? Like, and credit to him for kind of getting back into it and forcing that third set and nearly winning it. But
Yeah, I didn't think like I mean, look, it was high drama. I didn't think Fritz played particularly well. You know what I mean?
well, didn't.
But I was happy to see the like. I don't think Fritz lacks anything in battling though, or like in courage.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like, and he's not a guy who like chokes or gets tight. Like, I think he's like his mental game is fine. He just lacks. Yeah, we just think he's a guy we kind of know. We talked about him a few times. We kind of know who he is. Um, Pretty good week for Tommy Paul making a final. I guess we can transition to that.
mm-hmm.
Hey, epic win fighting through the cramps, man. I mean, good on him because it looked like he was gonna have to retire in the beginning of that third set. It did not look good, but he fought on and got the win.
Well, Tommy Paul, like comparing him to Fritz, he lacks what Fritz has with ball striking, but he's an incredibly fluid athlete.
Yeah, I agree. I
Right?
also think he like lacks. He might lack a little bit of power, which I guess you're saying the same thing ball striking, but he lacks a little bit of power too.
A little bit underpowered, yeah. But his movement is incredible.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
And the serve is and I don't know, like he definitely did this against Demonor, and maybe it's just a Demonor thing, maybe he was gassed, like I don't know, but he's got a 130-mile-an-hour serve. I feel like he should use it. I feel like he should be a better server than he is.
I think he just doesn't hit the spots consistently enough, right?
Yeah.
That's probably what it is. But good tournament for him. He didn't particularly play well in Davis Cup, and he lost what to
Radu Alba.
Alba at
But here's a
Dallas.
question for you, Manny. So like this is now right. We've now seen a good run at a 500, and we saw the run to the semis at the Australian Open, albeit with an easy draw.
Mhm.
Like, are you seeing Paul? Like, is Paul a top 20 player now to you?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I just like I see fight in him. I respect his like movement and his defensive capability a lot. I've seen consistent improvement. Like I see him close to the Demonor range. You know,
So
like
Demon was a top 20 player to you also?
just pure fight. I think Paul is actually more naturally gifted than him.
I think Paul's a better player.
Than
I'll say
Demonor.
that. Like, I think Paul's a better player. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason he beat Demon was because he was gassed. Like that third set, Paul was not hitting the ball as well as he normally does. He was still moving, but he wasn't hitting as well. Like he wasn't able to. It didn't feel like he was able to explode to the ball as well. Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
like, I kind of want to look at the list of players, like, and see who I think like.
So here's 15 and 20 right now because it's the right question to ask. Kachanov, Tiafo, Busta, Demonor, Paul, Korch. Obviously, Korch is we were fading Korch hard, but like 15 through 19 is Kachanov, Tiafoe, Busta, Minaur, and Paul.
I think Kachanov and Tiafoe have more upside than Paul, but they got to be careful because if Tiafoe continues to play the way he did in Acapulco, Paul will clearly overtake him.
Yeah.
But clearly they're better athletes and have more upside. I think Paul is slightly higher than Carreño Busta now. He's had a pretty bad year. If you look at guys a little lower, obviously Musetti and Kyrgios, they're two kind of mentally erratic.
Well, Kyrgios is a completely different bucket, right?
Yeah, he's irrelevant.
Kyrgios is like top. I think Kyrgios is above those guys, but that's when he wants to play.
Right. I mean, I'm not even putting Kyrgios in this category. He's kind of irrelevant in this conversation.
He is. I would agree with that. And like not because he's an irrelevant tennis player, because he's like a different. Like Kyrgios, it's and from a betting perspective, like it's completely different game with Kyrgios.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of have to put him in a match. You can't even look at ranking. You just like if Kyrgios plays,
he's a unicorn, and you have to evaluate every Kyrgios match truly on its own. Like that's a very like blasé, like not very analytical statement to make, but I think it's the truth. Like you have to evaluate like like it's tough, but you have to like I mean every match for him you have to evaluate on its own merit.
Right.
But then, would you trust him over like a Berrettini, Cilic, Dimitrov at this point? Those are the guys in the 20 to 25.
Again, guys with upside, but not necessarily the consistency, right? So I value consistency a lot. So
I mean, he's definitely top 25 because when you look at like the 30s, it really gets pretty ugly pretty quick. So yeah, somewhere around 20, I think is the right place for him.
Yeah, and then Korda, if he can stay healthy,
I still have questions about Korda. I mean, like he beat Medvedev, but like there's health, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't like what I saw after that match, so but I mean, I think Korda, like if he's healthy, he belongs in that 15-20 range as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd have to put Paul kind of ahead of Berrettini. The grass court swing is not that long, right? If the grass court swing was longer, obviously I'd put Berrettini in front of him, but it's not. Berrettini hasn't been that consistent recently. And then you go to 27 to 30, Bautista Agut, Davidovich Fokina, Evan, Shapovalov, Kekmanovic. Like you got to put Tommy Paul ahead of all those guys.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I think once you get outside the top 25, there's not even a debate, right? It's truly like he's somewhere. I think 20 is somewhere around the right spot for him, and you could argue is he like 18 or 23, but those aren't that far off. Like
I agree,
he's somewhere in the top 20 range.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
he kind of is where he belongs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's the right comment.
Yeah. But yeah, he's improved a lot. I'm impressed by him.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that statement.
Yeah. And then I think that. Oh, how about Casper Ruud? We got to talk about him.
So I'm not that worried about Casper. Like this is something where like, I know you and I disagree here. Like, I don't know. Like he said he's going to take an off season. He took an off season. He came back and he looked terrible in his first tournament back. I'm washing this off. Like, and then the way I'm going to approach this as a better is I'm going to approach this if this tournament didn't happen. Meaning I'm going to approach like Indian Wells if it's him coming back off the off season. So like first round, there's no way I'm betting him, but I'm probably not going to bet against him either unless the line's ridiculous. So I'm not going to really start really evaluating him and looking to really bet or fade until like the second, third round.
Well, I think he has the kind of like the weakest draw ever. Did you take a look at it?
I have not even looked at the draw yet.
You have not. I mean, we have to talk about it kind of in this context. But where is he in the draw? So he has a bye first round, and he'll play he'll play Schwartzman or Coria in the second round.
Yeah, that's a pretty good draw.
to play Nishioka or Galan or qualifier in the third round.
I mean, look, Yoshi's not that easy of a matchup. Yoshi's seeded here. I guess he is, right? He's top 30 in the world.
29.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to play Schwartzman or Coria, I can't fade Rude there. So,
yeah, that's a pretty incredible draw.
If he was playing anyone else, I'd probably fade him. I mean, I didn't like what I saw at all. Like, he was playing top 70 to top 80 tennis, if that.
Oh, I'm not saying he was playing well against Taro Daniel, or I'm not saying that Taro Daniel didn't deserve to win that match. I'm just kind of flushing it because I guess after a long layoff, sometimes it takes a few matches to get back into match form. So I'm not making too many conclusions based off of that.
But it doesn't concern you what you saw against Brooksby and what you saw before that either?
I mean, I guess not. Maybe it's because he didn't take an offseason. And the guys had taken off season. I'm not really worried about Brooksby because Brooksby's such a weird guy to play. So I'm less concerned there. I don't know. I mean, ironically, as silly as it sounds, I can kind of everything this year I can kind of wipe away. Yuri and Auckland, I was on that goofy indoor court. Brooksby's a weird matchup. He took a month off and then came back before he played Taro Daniel. So yeah, I guess I can believe a narrative that still tells me he's top 5 to top 10 in the world, maybe, but he's not. He isn't top 5 and top 10 in the world, and he's not top 5 or top 10 in the world. I'm basically acting as if he hasn't done anything since the end of last year.
Okay.
Because I can kind of, like I said, I can talk myself into, I can reason my way out of all of those matches, if that makes sense.
Okay. I mean, I would not. Obviously, you're not laying games with him, right? You're staying away initially, but even say he beats a Schwartzman or Corey in the second round, you're not gonna. Even if he beats him pretty handily.
I mean, realistically, I'm probably going to stay away from the whole tournament. The only way I could see getting behind him is if he made the round 4 of the quarters, I guess, and if he had shown 2 matches where he played well. So by that point, you're talking quarterfinals at the earliest. That I would probably start really looking to bet him. Unless you get a line that's truly disrespectful. I mean, I guess it would be interesting, right? If he gets Schwartzman or Corey in the first round, I'll be really interested to see what that line is because, you might almost have to bet him. You might almost have to back him. If he's playing Schwartzman and it's a close line, if he's playing Schwartzman and the line comes out at Schwartz, Rude -2, what are you doing?
I'm playing Rude -2.
Really? I mean, right. I don't you might get that.
Well, he's playing the most clear fade guy on the tour.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you have to play it match by match, obviously, but I don't know if he plays a Greek sport, for example. It's probably a pick'em at this point. What do you think? If he play, just hypothetically, if he plays Greek sports, probably they have to give Rude respect. He's top 5 in the world.
Yeah, he's probably. Yeah, I mean, he's.
I'd hammer Greek sport if they played right now. Hammer him. If you get even money or plus 105 on Greek sport.
Yeah, probably. It's probably a fair statement. I mean, yeah, I guess I probably would, but I don't know. I'm not I guess I'm not down on I might even be down on Taproot for another match or two, but I'm not down on him as a player yet.
Okay.
I'm not worried about his. I'm worried about his year, but only in the sense that he's lost 2 months of ability to rack up points.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not worried about I mean, I guess I am because he needs to defend here, and I don't have any confidence in him right now. But I don't.
Well, he has to defend points in Miami.
I don't have confidence either.
He doesn't have too many points to defend in Indy Wells. More.
When I meant here, I meant the Sunshine Double as a pair. Yeah.
Right. I mean, the only bet I placed in him in Acapulco was over 20.5 games against Daniil, which hit easily.
Yeah, I hit that as a 3-set match, which hit, so I was happy
That
about
was
that. So
great.
like,
Yep.
yeah, I
Yep.
didn't.
Yeah, I think like, if he plays a top 60 to 80 guy, I think that's a smart bet, over on games,
Yeah, I think so
three
too. Like again,
sets,
like
that
I'm
kind of
not.
thing.
I
Right.
probably yeah. I don't. Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. All right, let's move on to Santiago, which was it's a lot of
Taking a
fun.
look, see if there's anything else to talk about here
Mhm.
that catches my eye. Isner got a break. Isner broke Fritz, man. That was a big deal. I was stunned by that.
That was
I
the
want to see
first
that
match of the
return game
week.
and break down that return game because that was incredible. I never thought that Isner would break Fritz.
Yeah.
Like I thought Fritz was just too solid to be broken by Isner, but I guess I was proven wrong. So I was so I had some feelings there.
Shapovalov, we're gonna continue to fade. The guy is just so erratic and just
But he's
like,
hard to like truly fade, like because it's not like you can like I feel like I guess when it comes to fading him, but I feel like the books are starting to like get more in line there too, and I feel like
yeah, the books are
like you're
not
not
giving him
seeing big
respect
spreads,
anymore.
and like it's not what I usually like, and he seems to win against these weaker guys usually, but not always. I don't know. But didn't he lose to Emo recently or have a tough match with Emo?
Yeah, he lost to Yibing Wu in Dallas. Lost to Mo in Delray Beach. And then he beat Kekmanovic in a tight 3-setter. And then lost to Fritz easily.
Fritz, 4-4. But I guess is that surprising for me? Like, I don't think you're making a whole. I don't know how much money you're gonna be able to make on Shapovalov at this point. Like, yeah, I guess I'm fading him, but it's also like a really ugly spot. Like we just talked about before, right? Like, there's he's definitely not in the top 25 at all.
No, he's
But
not.
30 through 50 is really ugly right now.
But to me, Shapovalov, it doesn't really matter who he plays.
Right, it's always going to be a close match. Yeah, because he's so erratic, he's going to make some great shots and some terrible shots.
It doesn't matter. He could play. Who's the guy that's playing qualifying today?
Tennis Sangren.
Yeah, that could be a complicated match.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He could.
I guess I'm just looking at it and
he could play Arnaldi, who beat Harris today at +1.
Yeah, I guess from
that would be complicated.
Yeah, I guess from I guess if you're seeing him playing 5 or 6 games, I think you take. I think you take the games, but 100%. Other than that, I think it's hard to do much. And I feel like I haven't seen many spreads lately with Shapovalov -5, -6, even -4. Like you see a lot of spreads -3, and it's hard to do much with that because 3 is not that much to cover.
Yeah, because he's so erratic. Like he could easily lose the set 6-3, and then you're not.
No, but come back and win the next set 6-2. That's the problem, right? It can go in any direction. It's actually really bad to bet because there's so much variance.
True.
I'll keep saying, man, erratic can be good. Erratic has this bad connotation, but erratic can be really good. It just means that you're not able to predict it.
What about the over 2.5 set line against for Chapo? Because you always get plus money on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you get good money on it, it's yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see how it feels like he's going 3 sets every match because it just feels like he goes through so many dips. Yeah. But it's interesting to see. So if I look at it, right, last 10 matches, he split the first 2 sets 7 out of 10.
Wow.
And that's basically his year so far this year.
That's crazy.
He beat Roman Safulin in 2 sets, lost to Djokovic in 2, won the first 2 against Taro, lost to, I guess it's more 50-50. I guess it's more 50-50. I guess I'm wrong. I guess it's actually 5 out of 10 because he lost. But against Djokovic or Fritz, I'm not betting that 3-set line, right?
No.
So really, you're talking about against worse competition. Like you could probably
So he's playing the winner of Umber again or Zapata Miralles in the first round of Indy Wells.
So if it's Zapata, I think that's a great time to bet the 3 sets. Because Zapata's pretty similar, but he's pretty steady. But he shouldn't straight set Chapo, and you might get a good line on that because Zapata's so known so much as a clay guy.
It's a slow hard court, so it kind of almost plays like a clay court.
Yeah, it plays pretty decently.
Yeah. But that's an interesting match. But yeah, I would take him plus the games or take the over on games or take, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that's interesting. So yeah, anything else in Acapulco?
I'm just looking through. JJ Wolf took a first round loss to Taro Daniel. Like JJ Wolf's a guy we love, but he's not playing too well recently.
Not playing too well since that choke job in Dallas, right?
Well, we're on Americans. I guess while we're on, we should talk Americans. So Mo beat Yaron in 2 sets, and he lost. And Yaron had that weird match against Kitchman. Like Yaron was a guy I was really high on. I was getting kind of high on. I was getting kind of excited about, and he's kind of washed that out for me. I think he's shown who he is. Just like this very like mediocre, like 60s,
immature,
70s,
right?
Like plus he's like so whiny. It's so frustrating. Like it makes him so hard to bet. So I'm probably gonna be laying off Yaron moving forward. Nakashima looked like he had a shoulder injury against McDonald. He got hammered by Mackie 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think it was 2-2. It was a beatdown, whatever it was.
Yeah, I'm not liking what I'm seeing from Mackie.
Sorry, 2-love, and then Mackie got beat down by Tommy Paul 2-2.
That's true. Yeah,
but Mackie had been good. Mackie had a good match with Fritz. Like, so it was a weird thing where Mackie just. I don't know that I'm against Mackie yet. Like, he just didn't show up for that Paul match, which was really disappointing.
The thing is, when he's overmatched, he doesn't compete.
I mean, but is he overmatched? I'm going to disagree. Well, I saw him a couple weeks ago in Delray Beach compete against Fritz, and that's a match where you would say he's overmatched. And he actually made adjustments, was down 5-love, and came back and gave Fritz a pretty good match. I think it was like 3-6.
But again, like Fritz is one-dimensional, right? So he's easy to make adjustments with. If he's playing someone who's multi-dimensional, who is dominating him, he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, but I mean, how many guys know what to do against multi-dimensional guys who are dominating them? Right, like again, like if your standard is like, there's probably 10 guys in the world who do that. You know what I mean? It's tough. Like, I don't know. Like looking at his results, like he beat Yoshi in Delray Beach. Like it's just weird. Like some matches he just doesn't show up. You know what?
I thought that match would be competitive, and I was just seeing Paul dominating and kind of Mackie. I felt like he accepted it. He didn't like.
Yeah, I mean that match wasn't good, right? But like it's weird because like. He's another tough guy to bet. I feel like against him, it's good to take unders though, because it feels like there's not a whole lot of like.
Well, you called that match perfectly. I mean, I think that may have been one of your better bets of the week, playing the under there.
Yeah,
I was shocked because I was higher on. Like I thought Mackie was playing pretty well. Paul actually, had that bad loss to Rado Albot. He didn't particularly play well at Davis Cup. So I thought like, okay, yeah, this could be competitive. It get complicated, but and I was impressed by the 2-2 win against Nakashima.
Well, 2-0, but Nakashima I think was hurt. They were rubbing his shoulder down in the middle of the second set.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean Nakashima after a long layoff did not look good. Like I said, probably injury related, but that's not good to see. But he lost to Altmaier, which isn't ideal. Eubanks got beat by Lopez and lost in the first round of qualifying today. Schoen played a really good match against Rune.
That was good. That was a good match early in the week. Yeah.
So Holger Rune, that's a good guy. That's an interesting guy to talk about, right? Like, again, like there's just maturity issues, right? Like so much game, but so many maturity issues. Like, and it's interesting to see like how he does. It seems like he does better against these guys that like play into him and feed into him, like a guy like a Shelton, like a guy, or like if he was playing like a guy who would like kind of play into his power game versus like a Minaur, where it seemed like he got like he ran out of gas, and it even seemed like during the match he seemed like he wasn't having fun playing Minaur.
No. most guys wouldn't have fun playing Minaur.
That's probably true. Yeah, you're right. That's probably true for a lot of guys, but like,
Probably
but it
true for a
does.
lot of
I do
guys.
think he plays better against somebody who feeds into him. Like, I don't know if he's played Shapo, but I imagine he would do well against a Shapo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought, but I don't think I see him any differently. I think he's still like a bottom of the top 10 guy who's just like, he's good. He's got a lot of game, but he's got his issues.
He does. I was impressed with him finishing that match. I mean, I think
Yeah.
we brought it up in
Yeah.
the podcast. That showed a lot maturity wise. That being said, the maturity issues are not all resolved. He has a lot to get past.
And I thought even that De Minaur match, like a more mature Rune would have, like, right now he doesn't have the ability. It might be physical also, but like he needs to maybe work. That's probably the thing for him to work on, is like a little more consistency so he can back off a little. Like, not back off, but like against a De Minaur, he can like just hit 80% and move the ball around. Like, you're still gonna hit a winner 5 shots, 4 or 5 shots into the point.
Build
like,
the point and wait for the right ball to go after, where he's just like going for winners too early in points. And so I agree with you. I think that's what he has to work on point construction,
Yeah.
Because he has all the shots. I mean, the guy's insane.
Got all the shots. He's incredible.
Insane. Incredible. So just has to tone it back. I mean, we also have to point out he had one of the easier draws. I think, like, it felt like
Holger?
Yeah.
He played Shelton first round. That's a pretty tough first round match.
Okay, that's the tough match. But after that, like after
his second round match was a joke. He played Nuno Borges.
Did he lose games? I mean, Nuno.
He lost 2 games to Borges. He didn't lose a game to Berrettini because Berrettini was hurt.
Right. So
he got a pretty. I mean, honestly, that whole section got pretty friendly, right? That whole top half got, or I think it was came up to the top at the bottom, but that whole section of the draw got pretty friendly.
But I'm interested to see how he plays in Indian Wells and Miami. Like, he plays first round. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll go over it in the next segment of our pod. But yeah, he played McDonald or Krajinovic in the first round. He has Kekmanovic and Wawrinka in his little section. Then he has Sinner in his 16.
That'll be fun. But I feel like the match that's a match that actually plays well for Rune, right?
Yeah.
Because he'll be able to stand there and, like, he'll be able to stand there and throw with them, right? Like, or stand there and hit with them and just bomb balls off the baseline. Like, nobody's gonna and do stuff, and like, like he'll be able to kind of do, I don't know. He's not gonna get like the weird, annoying defensive balls from Sinner.
Mm-hmm.
He's just gonna get.
He prefers feeding off of pace.
I think so. I think so. I think he's better feeding off of pace.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of pure ball striking, it's an amazing matchup.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's popcorn tennis to watch.
Yeah, it is. It is. They played once before October of last year. Wow. Sinner retired 5-2 in the third, but yeah. Yeah. I mean, they could have played in Montpellier and it didn't happen because I think Cressy beat Rune, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
All
right. So all right. That does it for,
I think that's all I got, except for Jacopo Berrettini.
The younger Berrettini.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Santiago. So let's start with the Argentinians here. You brought up beginning of the Golden Swing that this was a very important run for, like, a string of tournaments for the Argentinian guys.
Yeah.
They didn't really do too well.
Well, I don't know. I think we got to go guy by guy, right? So, like, so I guess we'll start with Schwartzman. Has just been terrible. Like, he gets an F, right? If you're gonna put a report card out, Schwartzman gets an F. He went 0-3. Like, he wasn't even there. The only match he was there for was Jarry. He looked a little better against Nico, but he gets an F. Like, two matches he just didn't show up for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Cerundolo, right?
Badly, and he lost to Morales like 3-1. Like, it wasn't, it's all like it's not just the fact that he lost. He wasn't even competitive with these guys.
Right.
Lajovic
too.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't competitive with
He
Live.
gets an F.
So,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Let's move on to Korea.
Let's just Cerundolo, the F Cerundolo, Frankie.
Okay.
Gets maybe. I think Frankie is maybe like a C- or a D+. Like, no, I mean he wasn't good by any means, right? It's not a good score, but he probably. I mean, I think he did win a match or two. He played some good matches with Morales. He took Morales to 3 sets twice. Morales had a pretty good swing, so he beat RCB, beat Minaur. Like, I mean, those still aren't good, right? Like, I'm still really worried about him because, like,
I am worried about
this
him.
was his chance to prove, like, he coming off of what was a bad end of last year. Like, so at some point last year, we were saying he's top 20. I think after the European clay season, we should treat him like a top 20 player. No, not even top 50, right?
No.
Like, he's just another clay quarter now. He's just another clay court grinder in the, you know what I mean? So that was really disappointing.
Yeah.
I guess next we can go to I mean, any thoughts on Cerundolo?
I agree with all your points there.
I mean, seems to be grinding, but just not getting anywhere.
He just seems a little bit better than his brother. Like,
it's not his brother can move, man.
Yeah, his brother can move.
His brother is an athlete, dude.
Yeah,
like his brother can move. He just doesn't have any shots, but he can move and play defense.
Right.
There's really no need to talk about his brother too much, right? I mean, he's outside.
No, we don't.
I guess we move on to Korea. So Korea, great first week. Right? He made the finals of Cordoba. And then lost the first round of Buenos Aires, and that's all we saw him. So maybe, I mean, maybe he was just gassed after winning. Maybe all he had in the tank was winning Cordoba. But like, that's really a shame if so, because like, this is his chance to get points, man.
I know.
Like, there's a few clay, and like these are like, these are like pretty weak draws. Like, they're fun tournaments.
This was his opportunity to make to earn points. Like, he needed these points.
Because like the European clay tournaments are going to be much harder fields.
It is. Yeah, exactly.
Like, again, like we mean, like, this was mostly clay grinders and South Americans. Like, these were pretty weak draws. I mean, there were a lot of guys who you kind of realize are like, oh yeah, these guys are ATP players that were in this draw.
Yeah, I don't know. Was he hurt though? It looks like it, because I feel like he would be playing Santiago and
I would have thought so too. I would have thought so too.
So
I think he was probably just hurt and gassed from the.
I guessed. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, we can't really give him a letter grade if he was hurt.
Again, he gets like a BI, like a actually maybe it's an AI, because making the finals for him is pretty good.
Nah. Yeah, we give him a BI.
All right.
A B. Yeah. We're not, here to be like, friendly and inflate grades. We're here to be
so moving on to the guy who beat Baez in the Cordoba final, who beat Korea, Baez. Baez was pretty good. He won Cordoba. I
still give him like a B+, because I didn't like what I saw from him in Buenos Aires, like losing to Lajovic, when he choked that match away. Like, that was a loss.
Yeah, and like none of these losses are I guess, like, this is tough because, like, on pure tennis, right? Like, Baez should have dominated these tournaments outside of Rio when Alcaraz played.
Right.
And I guess maybe Nori too would be, but like outside of that, like he's better on clay than these guys.
He is.
But on the flip side, like, it's really, these are really what?
Well, he lost to Jarry in Rio, right? And Jarry was awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe
I guess that's the difference. But that's what I'm saying is, like, I guess on one hand he shouldn't lose that match, but like, these guys are not that easy to beat over and over and over and over and over again on the surface. So like winning, I mean, look, for the swing, he went 8-2, 8-3. That's pretty good. But it's kind of what I expected. But I think he showed that, like, like when we commented, like there was a match where they were commenting on tennis TV and talking about like how like I can't believe that Baez isn't in the top like 30. Like, how did he go 1-15 at the end of last year? And it's like,
You can only play on one surface.
It's court speed. He can only play on clay.
Yeah.
But but like if you thought he was gonna like just go away because he can't play on because he just like forgot how to play tennis, like that's not the case. It's just that he can't play on fast courts.
Right.
Because he doesn't have enough power.
Well, and then going to the last guy, last Argentinian, Etcheverry. Like, who do you think had the better golden swing, Etcheverry or Baez?
I mean, Baez in terms of just like he's better, but like we'll probably say Etcheverry because like versus expectations, like we didn't even have in our top like 5 Argentinians going in.
True. Based on expectation, yeah, Etcheverry.
Yeah, but it's like that's where it gets tough, right? Because it's like it's what are you looking at? But yeah, I mean, I think that's. But overall, like. Better.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I give Etcheverry an A-, and then I give Baez a B+
because of expectations.
Because of expectations, yeah. And I just like Baez, you can't lose to
Lajovic. Lajovic is a good clay quarter.
Yeah, but it's a choke job, right? Like,
yeah,
he was up big in that match.
But Baez struggles to close matches out. He's one of my favorite over 12.5 guys on clay. He's actually one of my favorite over 12.5 guys in general. Like either I bet him the over 12.5 or the other guy over 12.5. Like he's going to battle, but it's going to be close. And it almost doesn't matter who he plays. It feels
he is a good 12. Like even these matches he won in straight sets, he got the 7 in one set.
Yeah.
Like
and it's funny because like usually I reserve that for like big servers, and Baez is like the dead opposite. And I feel like because of that, the books like usually give you like -105, -110 on it. True. But it feels like he ends up there a lot. That he ends up over 12 just because
he's not good. Like when he wins, he's not good enough to blow anyone out.
Well, he seems to just like struggle to like close out sets and matches.
Yeah.
And maybe because he doesn't have enough firepower to like firmly put the hammer down so guys D up and like battle the way back in. But it definitely feels like, but then it feels like on the flip side, like he's never out of it because he's always going to try to battle back. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, he's a 12.5er.
I agree with you. A lot of these clay guys, even Ramos Vinolas is a good 12.5 guy.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them. So yeah, all right. I mean, Etcheverry was impressive, to be honest. Like,
yeah, I mean, his game looks really good, and he's kind of always had that. He's just kind of finally like getting a little more of the consistency. Yeah. Which, and I guess here's the other thing, right? Like, Etch is only 23.
Mm-hmm.
So like we kind of like because of the rise of guys like Alcaraz and like Holger Rune, it's like we now like expect these 19-year-olds to be like great players. And the reality is that for most guys, it takes until your mid-20s to like develop.
Right.
Especially things like consistency and point construction. Like these are like, you know what I mean? Like these are skills that are learned like later on in careers. Like, so I think it's I mean, I don't think Etcheverry is going to become in that class, right? But like it was a great run. Like he definitely. So where is Etcheverry now in your mind?
I mean, I haven't seen his game yet really translate to hard court. He did make second round. He lost to Sinner, I believe, right, in Australia.
I always get him and Frungioliti confused, and there's really no reason I should. But I do. But you're right. No, it was Etcheverry who lost in the second round.
It was Etcheverry, yeah. And I mean, I probably put him in the top 40 or 50 range. I don't know. I mean, in terms of betting, like he was good to me this week. He's a guy on clay I'll continue to kind of back, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
he played well. The line movement in that final against Jarry was crazy. You know, he opened with
it was comical. It was comical. Like he opened at plus 125 and then he ended at like a minus 125.
Right. It's insane. Yeah. But I like where he's heading. I like his trajectory. I like how he's improving. I think he's a bit one-dimensional. I think that's the next thing he has to improve. Right. He's just kind of blasting balls from the baseline, but he doesn't really so that's why I can't really.
It doesn't seem like he has a whole ton of touch yet.
Yeah, right, and that's why I can't put him above 40 or 50 in the world, because like I can't. You need more than that, right? To be top 30. But I like where he's heading. So I had him against Cerundolo at plus money, plus 128. I had him over 12.5. Against Jarry, which hit even though he lost the match. I had him money line against Lajovic. So like he was really good to me this week. Like, how are you with betting him this week?
I think I'm looking back at it. So I hit him minus 2.5 against Fognini. I thought that was a gimme, given that it was like Fognini and Heat in like Fognini and Heat at a small clay tournament with no crowd in the middle of the day. Like Fognini's not doesn't want to play that match.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. Then I hit him over 2.5 sets versus Cerundolo in the second round. I benefited there. I actually hit it again. I hit that bet also for under 9.5 games in the first set, and I hit that.
It's really good.
I hit. Trying to see what else I did with him. I did get. I hit Lajovic against him. I faded him against Lajovic, and that destroyed me. I didn't think. I just didn't think Lajovic was. I thought Lajovic was going to fight harder than that. I hit Baez over 12.5 against him in the semis, and that also failed.
I just kept backing him, to be honest, like in every match. Surprisingly.
Oh, then I hit him. I hit Baez over, or I hit Jarry over him in the. I hit Jarry over 12.5 in the final, and I got that right.
You got that right. I think both hit, right?
Oh yeah, both got there easily. Yeah, it was they both got there in 2 sets. It was 7-6, 6-7 the first 2 sets.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was actually kind of disappointed myself because I saw like the over 29 was like plus 280 or something. And I was gonna hit it, but I was like, oh, you know what? 29 is a lot, because like if there's one short set, you're screwed. Yeah. Like it's not just the fact you need 3 sets. Like if there's one short set, you're screwed.
Right.
Like it's clay. Jarry had actually gotten broken a surprising amount for how big his serve is. So like, I don't know. And then it ended up being the first sets where tiebreaks they split.
Yeah. So. Well, let's transition to Nico Jarry.
Dude, this is like the MVP of the Golden Swing, right? Like, I mean, in terms of a guy who's and he's always been like a big server, but he'd always been just like a dude who just smashed serves. And this showed that he's got something more. He's
got some game, man. Like he was hitting massive.
He also has like quite a bit of touch, actually.
He does.
Like he's got a lot of skill. Yeah.
I was surprised how well he was hitting his backhand. Like that third set against Etch in the final. Was unbelievable. I mean, he was redlining, and I mean, and the fact also physically to back up that Rio run with this run was super impressive.
I agree.
He lost first sets against Hanfman, against
Etch. Well, it was impressive because I think he might have won. It might have been every single match 3 sets. For him of this tournament of Santiago, I think it was.
Schwartzman was 3.
No, he beat Berea 6-4 in the first round.
Okay, but still a physical 2-set match.
What's crazy is that his ranking wasn't even high enough to get in. He only got into Santiago because he qualified and went so deep in Rio.
Right.
That if your ranking isn't high enough to get in a tournament, but if you signed up for the tournament and you make like the semis the week before, you get a special exemption into the next tournament.
So he got a special exemption into this event?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Because like the theory is like, okay, like it's unfair. It's unfair. Like we can't ask you to play the qualifying draw if you're playing a larger event.
Right.
So we just let you in the tournament. We basically just give you a place. I don't know whose place he takes. I guess maybe he takes the place of a qualifier. I don't know who he takes. I don't know how that works.
But
I guess he can't be a qualifier. I don't know whose place he takes. Maybe he takes the place of a direct entry.
Maybe.
The things I still need to learn about the ATP tour.
I mean, good for him because like it's his hometown. Like he should play there.
But what's hilarious is he's playing the challenger there this week.
I think he withdrew.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think so. But
it's funny that he would choose to do that over going to Indian Wells and playing qualies.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like, it's funny to see some of these South American guys. Like, actually, a bunch of them didn't play the qualies for Indian Wells. I was pretty surprised.
What's his ranking now? 52? Can he qualify directly?
He's no, because remember it's like you're ranking like 4 weeks before to book a team.
Oh, right.
Because they have to like set the tournament a few weeks in advance. But like, he was still like as someone like the 140s, like you're getting into the qualities of Indian Wells if you want to, right? With that ranking, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what he was before. I would assume maybe in the 70s or 80s after. But Rio, too. I don't think the ranking counts, right? Like when they're making the entry list for Indian Wells.
No, I think that's what I'm saying. I don't think the Rio run did count. No.
I mean, his ranking drastically improved in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, after the Australian Open, he was ranked 154 in the world.
Right. So, yeah.
They're going into the Australian Open, and now he's all the way up to 87. So.
Yeah, for him. I mean, look at all these results this week. If you hit the Jarry over 12.5 in every match, you would have hit.
I know.
You know? And if you hit it on, I think, most of his opponents as well.
Yeah, I mean, everyone except
Arias.
Everyone and Minaur.
No, he got 13.
Oh, no, you're right. Minaur got 13. Yeah.
Right.
6-1.
So,
yeah.
I know you bet Minaur +3, right? So you hit that.
I hit that, yeah. I hit over 12.5 against Etcheverry in the final. I did bet him. I want to say I bet him 2-0 against Hoffman. That was a disastrous day. It's one of the worst days ever. The Santiago quarters, I missed all 4 quarters. I got reverse swept. It was like so embarrassing. Like,
I did well because I went the opposite of you.
You faded me on every bet and you won. It was so bad. It was so bad. I was like watching. Yeah. But I wasn't like way off. Like Manny Montero lost in 3 sets.
You had Jarry 2 sets to love.
I had Jarry 2 sets to love, and he won 2 sets to 1.
I had Hanfman money line and Hanfman +1.5 sets, so I got one of the 2. But I was fading Jarry the entire week pretty much, besides against Schwartzman, obviously, and Varias. But like against Hanfman, Minaur, and Etch, I was fading him because I thought, like, when is this guy going to run out of gas?
Yeah. I hear you on that. I just like the lines were very weird. There's a lot of movement on his lines this week, and not just the Etch. Like the Etch final was insane, but the other matches had like some weird lines too, I thought.
Yeah.
And he's a far over 12.5 guy because he still is inconsistent enough that he makes enough errors that he kind of lets guys into sets.
Right.
Which I guess where do you put Jarry now? Like where do you put is Jarry above? So you said Etch is in like the bottom of your top 50. Does that mean Jarry's in your top 50 solidly?
See, I value I think Etch is a better tennis player consistently over a course of a year, whereas I think Jarry can have these moments of brilliance and kind of he had a hot streak, but I think overall consistency wise, Etch is a higher level player. So I put Jarry probably around the 60 range. It's just the totality of everything. I don't think he's going to be able to replicate what he's.
Yeah, I think you and I are in the same boat. So before he was a challenger level grinder, right? Now he's
solidified himself.
Yeah. I mean, I think now he's an ATP grinder. So I put him in the same boat as the other clay grinders. So and the other clay. Oh, so actually, Jarry's now all up to number 52 in the world, which is probably pretty close to where I'd put him. I'd probably put him a little lower, probably somewhere in the 60 to 70 range. Mm-hmm. So guys who I kind of see him as pretty similar to Vinolas, who's 50 in the world, although he's been really struggling. He's another guy who I'm probably fading because he needed to have a good swing here, just because it was clay, it was his surface against guys who he can beat, and I thought he was pretty average.
Mm-hmm.
and not good. Like I'd probably give him like a C minus, to be honest. Like I thought he should do well in this tournament. Like these are the matches that he should win.
Harvey. That being said, I give Zapata an A or an A minus.
Yeah, that Zapata was really good.
Yeah.
Now, where is Zapata in the rankings? He's all the way up to 42. Wow.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, so because like I got like, so I think he's somewhere. I think where you're right. I think he's somewhere. I think he's ranked pretty close to where he should be now, Yari, because like he's somewhere
It's a
like
little bit high. It's a little bit high. I think he should be more in the 60 range.
well, Minaur's 58. Do you think he's worse than Minaur?
Yeah, but it's in that range, 58-ish, 58, 60.
Corey's 64.
Corey should be a little
I think
lower.
he's better than Coria.
Yeah.
Molcan 63. I think he's better than Molcan. Like I'm looking at it,
Molcan
like
had a really good year last year. Like he's gonna fade off.
I know. Lajovic is another clay grinder guy who's 71. Like he's not. I don't know. Like I don't think that I think he's he's a clay guy, but I think he's somewhere in the
Good.
I don't know, he's probably somewhere between 50 and 60.
He's had an amazing run, but that being said, I don't think he's this is going to be easily replicate. He's not going to easily replicate this.
So I'll agree and I'll disagree. I think he's going to struggle the rest of the year, and I think he'll show up on the Golden Swing and do well again next year. That's my prediction. I mean, my prediction is he's going to become like a Golden Swing guy.
Golden Swing guy. Okay, fair.
But he's going to be like a little bit better. Like he's not going to have to qualify to get into the tournaments anymore, any wild cards. Like he's going to be like a guy who uses the Golden Swing and a little bit of the European clay as his way to get into all the ATP tournaments. But he'll have his ATP card, if you will.
That being said, I mean, I was thoroughly impressed by him. I mean, that was incredible. I was fading him towards the end. I thought he would run out of gas. He didn't. Mentally exceptionally strong. I mean, it was good. It was
good. It was good.
Took Alcaraz to 3 sets. I mean, it was a hell of a run these last 2 weeks. So all kudos to Nicolas Jarry, as well as his son, by the way. That interview with him, the son trying to grab the mic. Did you see that?
No.
So cute. It's the cutest thing ever. He has the cutest little kid. So all credit to him. Last guy we're going to talk about on part one, Dominic Thiem.
You want to end with Thiem?
Well, from the good to the bad.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I keep going round in circles with Thiem because he looked really bad on the swing. I thought just no power.
I know.
No offense, no power, just no aggression. But I don't know, man. I'm concerned. And I think, it's interesting how he's talking about having more perspective and things like that now too. I feel like he might be done.
Yeah, I brought up a poll question, is he going to be ever get into the top 30? And you started laughing at me, top 30? You're what? Is this guy going to retire by the end of the year? That was your question.
Well, he's 29, which is actually not young for a tennis player. We get fooled by these guys these
you view him as guys. A next gen guy, right? He's totally not a next gen guy.
But to be fair, he got a slam,
which I'm happy for him. He paid his dues up to that point, right?
Yeah, he's had a great career, to be honest. If this is it, he's had a great career. A slam. How many French Open finals? 2, 3? At least 2.
Semis in 17. He made the final in 18. Made the final in 19. I think.
And that's just the French. I think 2 finals.
That's just the French. Yeah.
But then he's got the final of the Australian he made, right, against Djokovic at least once.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not a bad career.
No, it's not. It's not.
He might be a top 50 all-timer. Maybe, probably not. But maybe. Probably not. Probably not enough consistency.
Yeah, I guess.
Like I'm thinking like Ferrer is like a top. Like where does he? I think Ferrer probably had a better career, right? Because Ferrer had a lot more semis and quarters of slams.
Yeah, but Ferrer didn't have a slam. Plus, he only had one Grand Slam final, so I'd probably put Team slightly ahead. You know, but in terms of betting him now, like, where do you go with him?
It's tough. Like,
You can't even
so I
play
mean, here's the
over
thing.
him.
Like, here's the problem, is I don't like. There's a bunch of questions, right? What terms is he gonna play? Like, is he even gonna get in? Like, he's only a player on clay. So on anything that's not clay, forget it. You're just gonna
Give him
fade
a
him.
wild card in Indian Wells. Is he going to keep getting wild cards?
How much longer though? I mean,
I know.
can there be more than 6 months of wild card? I guess there could be though, because like he's a name, right? So I mean, every tournament might just give him a wild card, but like
It's, I think like the most alarming thing about this whole thing is it shows how much better Andy Murray is as a tennis player than Dominic Thiem, right?
yeah, I
That's
mean,
what,
well, so Murray's at top. You think he's top 10?
yeah.
I think he might be. I think he's somewhere between 9 and 15 of all
Okay.
time. So like
Mhm.
pretty close. But like
He's
this
just
just
got so
continues to
many more
show it.
tools in the bag than Thiem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many more, and he had the way worse injury,
Oh,
right?
way worse. But that's why it's like historic that Murray has come back with a metal hip. And
Yeah,
it's like
right.
Murray might be a top 30 player again. Like Murray's got a chance to get seeded again in a slam,
Good for him.
which is insane. I would have told you 2 years ago that the only way he was going to get into a slam ever again was was to get wild cards. So or use protected rankings. Like
Right.
I'm amazed. He's up to, I guess he's not that high. He's only 55 in the rankings. He's not as high as I thought.
But he's playing top 30 tennis. I'd put him there now if you just like
Yeah,
1-4 against Medvedev, and he needs to win some matches a little bit easier without going 3 sets where he has to put in this crazy.
I don't know if he's playing top 30, but he's definitely playing top 50. And there's guys, and he's playing better than like Dan Evans, who's in the top 30 right now.
Right. Yeah.
But
it would be interesting to do like the actual rankings and then do actually our rankings based on how they're playing now.
when we get a bye week, that'll have to be one of our podcasts. If there's a bye week in the season that comes up, like
right.
or like a slow week, we'll have to do our rankings and publish our rankings and then show like the biggest difference between like the real rankings and like our rankings.
That's pretty cool actually, because I think it would actually differ quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it would too.
Yeah. Anything else in Santiago? I mean, we touched in
and we touched on ARV briefly. Like, I guess the other Spaniards like Minaur, like Bernabe, really good, right? Minaur, meh. Like,
yeah. Yeah, he had a rough swing until Santiago and he played better there.
Yeah.
He didn't really have a good swing. Montero was decent. That may have been my better bets of the week against Cecchinato early in the week.
I can't believe I bet that. That was one of my dumbest bets I've ever made, was that Cecchinato Bagnis. Like, why are we touching that match?
Yeah, that's such an eyesore. That was terrible.
Like,
yeah.
Why do we need to even go there, right? Like, we can't just like bet on good tennis. Like,
I know.
It's not like there wasn't like good tennis available to bet on. Like,
there was a ton of good tennis last week.
There were better matches in the challenge. There were better matches in POW.
I know. POW actually was good. Shout out to Luca Van Ash, who won me some money this week. He won a 3-set 4-hour final against Ugo Humbert.
That's incredible.
It was 4 hours. It was insane.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Insane. So, and I got that at plus 170, I believe. So, and I bet him against Rinderknecht in the semis. You're the man, Luca Van Ash.
Yeah, I actually bet him one match randomly.
You did?
I just saw a good line. I bet Van Ash. Yeah.
19 years old. I think he's made like 3 challenger finals this year.
Yeah,
so,
that's impressive.
Impressive.
All right. Yeah, Garin. What do you think about Garin? Like, I thought really disappointing from Garin, man. Like,
he played a shitty challenge. He won today, but he played a shitty challenger match against who was it? Oh, Tien.
Oh
That hit
yeah,
easily, plus 5.5 hit easily. It was 6 and 5. Like,
wow.
oh
Oh, I
yeah,
saw that. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, Learner Chien.
right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And then
yeah, but
before we go, I want to just touch on the qualifying matches tomorrow. I don't know if these lines are up yet. I think they're still finishing up, but they must have some of these lines up, right?
I mean, they didn't a couple hours ago. I checked, but they're still playing a bunch of the qualies out there, man. There's still a bunch of guys out there.
Wow. They go
There's
that
the big man himself, Pablo Andujar's out there.
Okay. All right.
We got Rinky's out there. Tennis Sandgren is up 6-2-4-1 on live, which is not surprising to me.
Wow.
Like I stayed away from that entirely because Sandgren, I just hate betting Sandgren because he's like
Oh shit.
the Lajovic looked so bad in Santiago that match against Etch, and he's not looking any better here against Tennis Sandgren.
I hit Lajovic. That stinks. But yeah, I probably should have stayed away.
I had a good day today. I won a 35-1 parlay.
35-1?
Yeah.
No
While we
way.
were talking just now, but Gojo finished out a 35-1 parlay for me.
You put a full unit on that?
Yeah. Plus 35 units. So it's gonna be like a plus 45. It actually could be better because I still have a 6-1 parlay out there too. If Borges can beat Andujar 6-3 or better in the second set, he's tied right now 1-1.
I've had a pretty good day too, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
I could have like a plus 50 unit day or something.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I lost 2 money line bets so far. Mueller and Mueller lost to Kudla. Sorry, Kudla
I bet
lost to Mueller
over 12.5 against.
Yeah, I bet Kudla on the money line.
Okay.
And he lost 7-5 in the third. And then I lost Watanuki, which is a pretty big upset. Although Shang looked really good.
He was. I didn't see any of it, but I was.
I saw a good amount of the second set. Shang's defense, he looks like he's gotten better since 3 months ago.
Wow.
Which is good to see.
Good to see. It's good to see.
Yeah.
I tailed ATP sharp on that one and bet the Watanuki righty parlay. Like a money line parlay. I liked it, but didn't. So, like going to tomorrow, you got Pissarro against Wu, Martyr against Nava, Alba against Struve, Kokonakis against Arnaldi, Popperin against Daniel, Garin against Misalik, Tabio against Svijata, and Zhang versus Shang.
I gotta see prices on this, man, because like I don't know, like a lot of these matches I have no idea how to bet. Like Albot Struve is a good match.
So we got prices up. So
all right.
Alba and Struve. Oops, what's that?
Wow, I can't believe Albot's getting 2.5 there. I feel like Albot money line at plus 150 might be the play. Like I think Struve should be a favorite, but that seems like way too much to me.
I just hit Struve on the money line there at minus 180.
Oh, you actually like him at minus 180? Interesting. I think Struve is the better player and should be the favorite, but 180 feels like a lot to me. I thought it should be closer to like maybe 140. Like I really, yeah. Which is why I'm gonna fade. I'm gonna go directly against you and hit the Alba money line there.
Interesting. But I just don't think Radu Alba has the weapons to kind of like he's going to be defending most of the points.
But it's a slow hard court, so he should be okay there. Like that shouldn't be as big of a deal as it would be on other courts. Not that you want to be defending, but I don't know, like.
But he also doesn't have the weight of shot to push Struve around the court. Like, you know, he's just going to be running for his life.
Yeah,
and
I hear you.
Has been really good in the challenger circuit.
He has been, but I mean, Albot has been actually like he had that good run in Miami where he made the semis. Not Miami, Delray Beach. Okay. He beat Paul, took a set off Kecmanovic. Like,
okay, fair. So you're going to plus 150. I'm going to minus 180.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think like it's. I hear what you're saying. Like, I think Struve is the favorite. I just think it's like 140, not 180. But it's again, it's amazing how like small these different.
It's such small margins.
Like you're saying he's got a 40. You're saying he has a 50. Like I'm saying he's a 53% chance. You're saying he's a 58% chance.
Fair.
Like it's crazy.
I like Popperin against Daniil here at plus 130.
I gotta look at that one a little bit more. I don't know. That's a tough one for me. What about the over there? Do you like the over?
The over is probably a good play too. Yeah, I like the over. I also like Misalik against Garin. Plus 220. Garin is so bad on hard court. So bad.
Yeah. I don't really get that either.
He's a guy I'm gonna fade. Like he's just. It's not that I love Philip Misalik, but like,
oh man, what? Look at that epic match down there. Tabilo versus Spajda. Did you see Spajda versus Stevie Johnson today? 7-6.
I bet Spajda on the money line today.
Yeah, so you got him. He won 7-6 in the third against Stevie Johnson.
I was shocked Tabilo beat O'Connell today. Shocked. I was shocked about that.
Yeah, that was that. I wasn't just because O'Connell was coming from Dubai.
Yeah. So
it'd be interesting to see how the guys who came from Europe did. I
don't know.
What?
So Medvedev is going to lose first round because he's coming from Dubai. Like, come on. Like,
no, but Medvedev gets a full week probably place to play. O'Connell gets like 4 days, 5. When did O'Connell get knocked out? Wednesday?
Yeah, he got knocked out earlier than Medvedev. So he had like 5-6 days.
So it takes him a day to get a flight because he probably doesn't have as much money. So he's got to figure out how he's got to like book a flight or get a flight out. It's a full day flight. If he's flying commercial, it's a full day flight. He's probably flying like commercial coach. So like he feels like crap. He gets back there, he feels like crap. He's got to deal with jet lag. Like I don't know. I feel like I think it's an advantage to like versus Tabilo who's coming from Chile.
Did you bet that match?
I didn't because I thought it was a pure stay away. Because also Tabilo's coming off of a clay court. Man, like but O'Connell's coming off like a medium speed hard court to a slow hard court. Like that was just a pure stay away to me.
Okay, fair. I was going more based on O'Connell's play. You know how he was.
Oh, I hear you completely. Like play wise, I completely get it. But I think that like the
spot.
I think the spot is like, you know,
you were proven right. You were proven right. So
was I lucky or correct? That's the question.
You're correct. You're correct. And then Shang against Zhang. Interesting match there. I don't know. I gotta study that one more.
I don't know. I'm tempted to take Shang. But like here's what's tricky about that one is I feel like but my questions are the books taking into account the fact that he's really improving as a player. I feel like they might be.
I want to see what some other guys on Twitter are saying about that match.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see too.
Yeah.
The problem is by the time they start doing that, the line moves.
I know. I'm tempted to take the
Speaking of which, was hilarious today. Today I literally clicked on I clicked to make a bet. And like literally within half a second before the bet confirmed, within half a second of me clicking bet, the line moved and my bet got confirmed. And this happened twice in a row. Wow. So like, I'm wondering if my unit now like somehow is moving the lines. Like if either like nobody's betting and that's why it's going, or like I don't know if I bet so much money now that now they think that I'm like a guy who like they should use to like move the lines around.
I think there are people betting more money than you are. Or then both.
No, my single unit is big money, man.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up this segment of the show. Another crazy show, but we had a lot to talk about. And then tomorrow night we'll get into the Indian Wells futures and all the round one matchups. And we'll do a better job of posting on Twitter throughout this tournament. It's a Masters 1000, so we'll do better with that, and hopefully we'll have a show midweek as well for when the matches.
Definitely, we'll definitely do a weekend show, right? I think that would be because tomorrow will be Tuesday night already, right? So we'll do like a probably. So we'll do like a
Saturday or Sunday night. Like the way the tournament breaks down, it makes it easy for the easy to do podcasts. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, have a good night, guys. This will be posted tomorrow morning, and we'll see you later.
All right. Thanks, everyone.